You are listening to the Mountainside Podcast, and returning to the studio is my good friend Grant Neal. He's a Bellator MMA fighter who's fought at the highest levels at 205 and 185. Grant is an absolute savage inside the octagon, but one of my favorite people outside. Super educated. We did a deep dive on history. We dove all over the place in conversation. I always enjoy Grant's company. Enjoy our conversation. Boom, here we are, Grant Neal.
Cheers.
Cheers, brother. Awesome to have you here. Oh, I better turn this off or we're going to get copyright. Good old James Brown. I had to put it in, man. Like, I'm a big person that music sets the mood.
Oh, yeah.
And there's headphones if you want it. Don't feel like you have to.
I like that.
Yeah, so I'm a big person. Music sets the mood for me. And then this thing you can just raise up and down. They're kind of new, funky. Perfect. So I kind of just base it on what I'm feeling that day. And I was like, Grant's coming in. And like, I just feel like James Brown is your energy, dog. Like,
oh, man, I love James Brown. And, you know, last walkout, I had to do some John Denver, represent.
Hell yeah.
And in a different country, you know, from Denver, you know, I had to represent with that. But all fight week, it's all I'm listening to is funk. James Brown, the Gap Band. I'm listening to Funkadelic. I love funk music when I'm training. Just the off rhythms, the smooth beats, but the freedom to do what you want and what you feel, and it's precise, but it's also chaotic. It's just like a fight.
And James Brown, just something about his voice, man, he's unbelievable. I don't know if you've ever went back and watched like any of his old performances or concerts, man.
Oh yeah.
He's a fucking savage, bro.
It's
he
insane.
Is savage.
Sweating like no other. Sweating like James Brown. Like that's the way that weight cut day is. You know, I'm sweating like James Brown.
Just without all the amphetamines and whatever else he was fucking on. Some of those old interviews are crazy, man. I don't know if you've seen any of those.
Oh,
either.
yeah. James Brown
good shit.
Is a wild man.
Yeah.
And just, I mean, his life story is wild. Like,
and then I vividly remember, and I think why it's imprinted in my brain is like him being in the Rocky. I think it was Rocky 4 where he versed the Russian, right?
Oh,
and
yeah.
Like he came out a Rocky's
like
walkout.
It's a cameo.
And it's so funny because some of these boxing like pre-production stuff or pre-fight stuff has turned into that almost where you have like a rapper singing and like some of Canelo's walkouts and stuff that have just been insane.
I mean all the boxing walkouts are pretty awesome. The showmanship and them playing to the crowd and superstars and just mixing music with the athletics is just awesome. I mean, you see it in football now with like the Super Bowl and halftime shows and artists constantly going to panning to these artists that are in the stands and things like that. So music and sport are really, really kind of mixing together really well.
It's so much fun. Like one of a tradition with me and my son, because he's super into football, playing football right now, and so he lives, breathes it. He was a lot like I was, right? And I think one of our traditions and one of our favorite traditions is going to Broncos training camp because it's a free event.
Oh, yeah.
You get there early. You get up close and personal with the players, and they always have some like music going out there, and it's fun, man.
Oh,
it makes it fun.
And then you get to watch what actually goes into game day. So you get to see them run their plays, and you see everything that's behind the scenes kind of, and you feel like you're a little bit more invested in a part of it. And then you're like, wow, man, I saw that play on Sunday, and I was just at training camp and they were just practicing that play. And it's pretty cool. You get to interact with the players on a different level. I think training camp is really good for all people to see.
It's good for everybody. I think the players have fun with it too. And it's made me a fan of other players that I might not have like necessarily been a fan of. Like watching Justin Simmons, like just talk it up, dude.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if you know them. I know you run in those circles, you know.
I know
some of your
Justin
old
Simmons.
friends. Yeah.
Justin Simmons is the man. I love.
He's hilarious, dude.
And yeah,
it's the Justin Simmons show when he's out. I mean, he takes the stage.
No, he's the man. He's the man. And my buddy Jonas Griffin, he's awesome. I think you got to meet him.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to get Jonas on, but he's been busy, man. And I think with his injury last year and stuff, he had his hands full. But
yeah.
Awesome guy. Yeah, we got to hang out after Kamozi's fight that night.
Oh, yeah.
That was fun. I chopped it up with Jonas for a couple hours, it seemed like.
Oh, yeah. He's the man. We got to get him on here. And then his brother also is a boxer as well. I mean, he's got so many siblings.
Really?
All of them are like super athletic. It's great genes. But
makes sense.
Yeah, so his brother's a boxer, and he's got a big fight coming up here. And he's 1-0 pro right now, and so he's getting ready for his next fight. So
hell yeah, let's go. I'm all about it. Keep it in the family, man.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's awesome. How was so we were just talking about Belfast right before we hit record.
Oh yeah,
and spending some time in Northern Ireland. Did you like it up there? Or?
No, it was horrible. No,
I know the outcome wasn't what you wanted it to be.
Yeah, no, it was burn that city to the ground. No, I'm just kidding. I actually can't. I shouldn't say that.
Yeah, no, you might.
You know the troubles. So that you don't want to.
Yeah, you know?
You gotta be careful what you say. But no, Northern Ireland was beautiful. I mean, it was probably one of the most amazing like places I've been. From a scenery perspective. I mean, there was one day where my coaches and we just decided to just drive through all like of Northern Ireland and hit all these crazy spots that we saw on like Game of Thrones. Yeah, I'm a nerd, so Game of Thrones spots, and that was unbelievable. Like the sheer vastness of the landscape, but also feeling like you're on a movie set, which you are kind of because so many movies. And
there's so much history there, right? Like even the stone cobble walls that are like everywhere.
It's just nuts.
Yeah,
it is nuts, and you're like, man, this is really old. I mean, and then when we went into Belfast, I love history, and Chris and I were talking about it, but he loves history as well. And so we would just walk into certain places and we're like, man, this is the oldest bar in all of Ireland, or like, and then you're looking at the structural integrity of the bar, and then you're like looking down at the ground and you see it's like warped down because of how many people have walked through that doorway since the 1600s. So you're like,
you can see like a smile underneath the door.
I'm like, yo, this is so pretty
you
nuts.
Guys made it to the Crown Bar then?
Oh yeah,
awesome. Because I was texting with Chris when he went over, and I think he had made like an Instagram post story or something like, "What should I check out in Belfast?" And I was so fortunate in my rock and roll career getting to go to all these different countries, you know. And I was actually on tour with Kanye. And we were starting our UK and EU like tour leg. Mm-hmm. And every tour you start off with like a 3-week rehearsal typically, like especially when it's a huge set of some sort. And there's all kinds of animatronics and fucking all kinds of crazy shit, like robotic stuff in the stage. This was around like 2008 or so. So it was like glow in the dark, kind of his early years.
So 2008. So that would have been what, graduation, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Is graduation the one with the little bear on the album?
The bear on the album was like purple and
so I was with him for a few years, and it was at the start of right before graduation dropped. What was the album before graduation?
Late Registration, I believe.
Okay, so I started on that, and then we dropped while we were on tour. We dropped graduation, which is crazy because
on tour he dropped.
Well, yeah, I mean, these guys, once they hit that level, and certain artists, when they're signed on like that, they're necessarily not picking their schedules. And the schedule with him sucked, dude. we would do like 7 or 8 shows in a row, and then 1 day off, and then 7 or 8 in a row. And as a roadie, that means you're getting like maybe 2 to 3 hours of sleep a night, as long as the bus ride is in between cities. and they don't space it out that far when it's that many trucks and that much crew, and like it takes that much time to put in.
How do you take care of yourself?
You just either do a lot of drugs or you get really, really good at your job and learn how to cut corners and make things faster so you can go to the bus in the afternoon and maybe take a nap.
Oh my gosh.
But yeah, you just live. I mean, honestly, you're on such a high because not even drug induced, man. Like I didn't really do that many drugs when I was touring just because you can't handle it.
Yeah.
You can't hack it. And you would see people drop left and right and have to get replaced or, you know, shit comes up, man. Like when you're working that many hours, it's crazy, right? So I learned quickly later on in my career to pick tours where the schedule is like, all right, send me the schedule.
Yeah.
And then like working for bands that, you know, rap stars and hip hop stars, the schedule is grueling because they're under somebody's thumb typically, right?
Yeah,
so you're under a Suge Knight or somebody that's just going to run you into the ground, basically, right? So not only is it hard on the artist, it's hard on everybody, the dancers, the crew, the production. There's a lot of short tempers out there, man.
Oh yeah,
a lot.
And how many buses were in, or how many trucks was that show at that time?
So probably, well, it was crazy because we had this huge rolling stage. So we traveled with our own stage was the only way to do it. And then in the middle of the stage was a spaceship, and I was a hydraulic carpenter on it. So we had these, I think they were 30,000 pound hydraulic lifts in the center, if I was remembering right. And it would go up and articulate, and it was an LED like spaceship type shape stage that he would perform on. But then on top of that, we would build this whole entire moonscape over the entire stage. It was all these big ass set pieces. And it was very Spinal Tap-ish, dude. Yeah. Like, there was this giant dinosaur or alien dinosaur that like, cause the whole thing was that he crash landed onto this planet. Was like, and this is Kanye's vision. You know?
Yeah.
And there was this big giant like worm dinosaur thing that would pop out of a set piece, but it was so big that it was on hydraulics, and Henson Puppets made it. It was the same company that makes like the Muppets and like Sesame Street and all that sort of shit, right? So you can imagine what this thing is, but it's huge, man. Like,
and you have that on
hydraulics. Joked about it because it looked like a big dick with teeth. I wonder if you can pull up a photo of this.
I gotta see this.
So anyways, shout out to my buddy Zach Eastland too, was on tour with me. He was another hydraulic carp. We had like 5 or 6 of us, but it was crazy. We had these stagehands that we would set up every day, and they had to be like the body of the worm. And then there was a guy that was like the tail, like going through the set and shit. But at one point, Kanye would get eaten by this thing, and my buddy Zach was inside of this thing, like riding this hydraulic thing out of a set piece and like running the jaws. And then it would eat Kanye, and Kanye would go into the stomach of this thing. So he's in there with my buddy Zach, like, and it was tight. Like, Zach's a little dude.
Yeah, so Kanye and him would be together.
Oh, dude, he was like, dude, his ass stinks so bad or whatever tonight or whatever, you know. And then, but then it is. See that thing? Doesn't it look like a dick, dude? That's it.
That's wild.
But
what is that?
I wish there was a picture of Kanye next. Oh, there is. Like, see Kanye there in the corner? In the corner photo. I don't know if you can blow that up. See if you can go full screen on that. So yeah, I mean, it was pretty big. And
what album or what? So that's 2008.
So this was Graduation.
So yeah, it would have been Graduation that he was performing, right?
Right.
Let me see if I can get a better one.
Dude, my buddy Marcus was this like old LA Crip that was on tour with us. Big Marcus, dude. Yeah. I mean, he's built like fucking Debo, man. Like, and he would be in the back, and he had to like plug in 2 extension cords to get the eyes to light up. I'm sorry, this was Glow in the Dark.
Glow in the Dark?
Yes. So maybe I started during Graduation, and we dropped. Was Glow in the Dark an album?
No.
Okay,
no,
Glow in the Dark was the name of the tour then. Okay, see the moonscape right there as well?
This one? Or?
Right. Oh. Sorry, go back over one. Yep. So we had this giant LED wall that was pretty badass, man. I mean, they would put like, click on that one real quick, because I'll give you an idea. So there's this whole like moon stage, and then there was all these aliens that would pop out of it. We had this life-size Barbie doll that would fly out of the stands.
So the reason I'm so adamant is I'm a big Kanye West fan,
Are you?
music fan. So like,
I kind of am too. I wasn't at the time, but
not only is this like really cool for me that you're a part of like this part of his career. My first walkout song for my first like championship was "Can't Tell Me Nothing" on Graduation. And so that was my first walkout song.
God damn, I wish we could play music on here, dude.
La da da da, wait till I get my money right.
Yeah.
And then just the crescendo. Oh, it's just like,
dude, we had backup singers. We had a whole orchestra pit, and all these dudes that were in the band were so badass. Like some of the kindest humans you've ever met.
Kanye is such a perfectionist and a genius when it comes to like every last note in all of his music that it's like I can only imagine how good they are. Like, I don't know if you watched the show that released on Netflix with Kanye West, just like talking about the making of his music, and he just had all the film and just had someone film him, which is the audacity that he had to just be like nothing and be like, hey, I just want you to film everything from this moment forward, and one day I'm gonna be the biggest star ever. And like so many people just laugh at him and just are like, yeah, okay. And then the one dude that did, he just ended up making like an awesome film for everybody to see.
I know that
ups
guy.
And downs. Yeah. What was his name?
God. All I
want to give him his flowers, but
yeah, Derek, you're gonna have to look this up too. This is gonna be a Google heavy one.
Is the Netflix?
Maybe it's just look up Netflix Kanye West special, and I bet you it'll tell you. And then maybe type director after it. But yeah, I remember him and Kanye getting. We were on tour with him, and I think they got arrested for like going at it with the Pavarotti or something. These two.
Cootie, yeah. Yeah, no, and it's crazy because he even shows like after the passing of Kanye's mom, the change in Kanye West and the ups and downs, and in the special he like fires him and then rehires him and then fires him. It's just like the chaos about
Kanye,
it is
man.
just like, whoa. It's
it was a crazy time for me, man. That was we had a lot of fun. Like I was out there with just like some super exceptional people on the production side. We worked our asses off though, man.
And that it just is. I mean, if you listen to like whatever you think about the man Kanye, and we can get into this, musically, like he's just a genius, and like he's an artist, though. You know what I mean?
Artists are eclectic like that, right? And I know him personally, right?
Yeah.
Like
so you interacted.
I dealt with him on a daily basis for 3 years.
Yeah,
and I never really had. He was not short. He's not a people person, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think some of it.
But what artists really?
I think some of it is insecurity, almost. Yeah. You know, but he'd never had like an entourage. Like I've worked for some other people that had like full on entourages.
Mm-hmm.
Like that wasn't really Kanye's MO.
Yeah.
He hired good people, and we got a paycheck every week. So that says something right there, especially in that industry, right? Because
definitely
back when I was doing it, it was like freelance. Like, so there might be some weeks and you know what? He stayed on the road. Like he was somebody that I thought like, shit, man, we might not make it through everything that's scheduled. So you're kind of like shopping like other tours. Not only that, he had an eye for talent because he kind of booked, they kind of have a say in who their openers are going to be and who they want on the road with them. And that's the whole reason I worked with Rihanna for years. So I went from that. I mean, this really escalated my career to a lot of different people. And like Kanye at that time went all out and hired the best production people. So I also did M and 50 Cent. So he
That's so
hired
cool.
their teams, you know, like 50 Cent was
Yeah.
kind of at the end of his touring
Yeah,
career right there and was making vitamin water or whatever he was doing at that time. So he really hired professionals, and that made it easy, man. And it's like, I don't want to say that it was horrible either, man. We had a great time, and you travel in the lab of luxury, man. It is so nice. Like our buses in Europe, they're 2 stories.
Yeah.
And all your bunks, you have a bunk with your own like curtains that you can close, your own TV, and there's just kind of like the rules of the road. You're quiet in the bunk area.
Yeah.
But then there's also lounges that you can hang out. You have Wi-Fi. We had Wi-Fi in 2009, like rolling down the road.
That's awesome.
So you can be on your computer, you can do whatever you want. You can watch movies. We had Xboxes, you know, all kinds of stuff. The front lounge in the bus was super cool because it was above the driver and it was flat. So like going through like underneath some of those old bridges, and that's honestly how I saw it a lot of countries, was from the front seat of a bus or something like that, you know, which was kind of cool.
That's a really awesome experience. I mean,
It was super
not
rad.
many people get that opportunity.
No.
What was it like working with Rihanna?
She's a doll, man. I love her. She did one of the nicest things for me ever that any human could do. And she was incredible. And I was with her from like the very start. Like they needed, not the very start, but like the start of her really touring, because she was opening for Kanye. Mm-hmm. And I knew some of the production people, and they were having trouble getting her set on and off the stage. And with my stage management experience, I just came in, I just started helping them out a little bit. And then it turned into me having a full-on touring career with her at the height of her career, right? And me getting called up to go do billboards with her because she was just comfortable with having me around and the team that
she
we
trusted
had.
who she trusted.
Yeah. And she was awesome, man. I had a family emergency, and I knew it was kind of going to be my last tour. My daughter was born like super premature at like 22 weeks, which was scary. And I was in Miami and my wife was in LA.
22 weeks.
And my wife was my girlfriend at that time, right?
Yeah.
And we had no family there. Like we were both living in LA, but she was from upstate New York. And she called me at like, she woke me up on the bus. We were sleeping in the parking lot of the venue. It's maybe like 3 a.m. and I think our load-in started at like 6 or something. So I got woken up to a phone call, and she was like, I'm in the hospital. And the set that I had out with Rihanna then was super elaborate, like this Kanye one. Mm-hmm. Like we had a 3/4 scale Abrams tank that we took around that was hot pink. There was all these lifts, flying pianos. We had a trolley system to get her from lift to lift. She was like changing underneath the stage while the show was going on, you know? And it was like almost like a magic show.
Yeah.
Like the system that we had set up underneath the stage to get her everywhere. Conveyors and lifts and turntables and like just all this crazy shit. But so my job is like, once you kind of get settled with that, you play a big part and you're expected to show up because nobody else can really do your job.
Exactly.
Right? Like,
It's
you
like
can't
you
just
can't
step into it, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of you basically sign contracts with a lot of these people, like, yeah, I'll be there as long as.
It's just like cohesion.
Yeah. So anyways, I knew the production manager really well. I had done some stuff with Madonna with him and Aerosmith. So we had a long lasting relationship long before Rihanna came along. Mm-hmm. And I went to Chris that morning at about 4 a.m. I just said, hey, and he knew my wife.
Yeah.
I said, Gabe's in the hospital. They told her she's losing the baby right now. I'd like to go home after I'll get you loaded in. Cause I think we were loading in Miami, and then we had, I think it was a back-to-back show. And then we had like 2 days off or something before the next stop. So we started tipping trucks at like 6 a.m. or whatever. And the production assistant came out to me, and her name was Vicky. Shout out Vicky Huxkell. Fucking handed me an airplane ticket, and she said, don't even worry about your bags. We'll ship them to you. There's a car waiting on the dock for you, and you're going to miss your flight. It leaves it out of Miami airport in like 45 minutes or something.
Oh, wow.
So they took me straight there, first class seat, first one on the plane, straight to LA, get off the plane, had a car for me, took me to the hospital, got to the hospital, flowers everywhere. So after the dust settled and I made it back in time, and thank God my daughter was born too, man. That's
That's
crazy, right? and she's 13 now. So I made it back.
22 weeks?
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
My wife is going
I'm sorry,
on
it was 27 weeks.
Oh,
so
27. Okay.
What happened is my wife went into labor at 22 weeks, and they basically kept her in labor for 27 weeks.
Until she got to 27
Right.
weeks.
Because their lungs aren't
They're
fully developed.
formed. Yeah,
and they were
nothing.
like, there's enough fluid in the sac. And like, so she
they were really monitoring her, but
well, here's the
she's
issue.
going
My
into
wife
labor.
was, before I knocked her up, she was a prima ballerina.
Oh,
So like
she had
performing at a pretty high level, right?
yeah.
For
And
flexibility.
if anybody
and all that
knows
sort of
ballerinas, like they go through it.
Yeah.
They go through it.
Don't look at their feet.
Yeah.
Sorry, babe. I love you. But so anyways, I think the doctor, when she had went in or something, they were just like, yeah, just do what you normally do. But what she does is not what a normal person can do with their body, right?
Exactly.
So I think athletically she might have induced labor somehow.
Yeah.
And there was a small tear in the amniotic sac.
Oh man. So the baby's coming.
So yeah, the baby started coming, right? Basically. So she was on bed rest, like the only thing that she could do, they would let her do is get up to go to the bathroom. Like they were like, don't even go to the refrigerator and get a Coke. Like don't
That's
Don't
wild.
make
And you're
yourself
on the road for this
popcorn.
too?
So I was on the road. She was pregnant. The plan was the tour was going to end perfect, like around 7 months. And then
Yeah.
that was going to be my last tour.
Yeah.
So the tour all knew this. Rihanna knew this.
Yeah.
You know? So anyways, they flew me home, back to the story. And I called Chris Lamb a couple days later. I just said, hey, I'd like to pay Rihanna back or whatever for the ticket. And I'm thinking this had to cost like $4,000 to $5,000.
Yeah.
You know? And they were just like, don't worry about it. Ree took care of it. I was like, what? I was in shock. And they said, and she said, you have your job back whenever you want it. So, that was cool.
Like that is
Yeah.
That's
super
awesome.
cool. Nobody's ever done that for me, especially at like that level. A lot of people,
you overlook
yeah.
certain things.
And I've worked for some artists that have been really good to us though,
Yeah.
too. Like Lil Wayne was one of them.
Yeah,
as
I remember
well.
last time
Yeah.
we talked about Lil Wayne, and I was like,
He's one of my favorites I worked for, honestly.
did you get to see him when he came out here for
No, we don't have
game?
that sort of relationship, I guess. I wonder if he would remember me or not. I was with him kind of through like the Carter albums, and he was just a true professional then. I mean, it was funny because some of the openers were like Drake,
Yeah.
and they had a whole little entourage,
Yeah.
and like there was a few hairy moments in there where like some real gangsters showed up, and like there was guns woven around and shit. And I was like, fuck, man, I'm just trying to work.
Yeah.
But Wayne was always a professional. He would roll in like Elvis does. Like he would come into the building like about 2 or 3 minutes before he had to walk on stage. They'd either drive his bus in right behind the stage or a town car or something. Mm-hmm. He would walk out of the town car, go on stage, and then right after the show, he'd get in the car and leave.
That's
But
gangster.
in between the show, he had all this. It was actually a badass set, and it was one of the easier tours I ever did. It was badass because he had gotten really into rock and roll then.
Yeah. That's what, and he's pick the world up and I'm gonna drop it on you.
Hell yeah, let's go. So he was like, how do we make this like a rock show? And I was like, dude, we got to go expanded metal on the stage.
Yeah.
A lot of pyro. Let's start the show with concussion grenades. Let's go full on Slayer. And
Yeah.
he's like, yeah, I like it, you know? So we had just like pyro like you wouldn't believe. We set off like 4 or 5 concussion grenades to start the show and strippers. And I've never seen a rock band do that.
That's
so
awesome.
honestly, all I did the entire show was run a stripper pole up and down. It just brings strippers up and down. And I brought Wayne
Like
up and
blowing
down,
things
like 2 or
up
3
and naked ladies is probably like every little boy's dream,
Oh
right?
my God. So in between, like Wayne would leave stage for a little while, right? And like burn one, and he'd come back and like sit by me, and we'd watch a stripper, and he'd be like, damn, this girl's got some moves, or like the bitch in Milwaukee was way better, or whatever it was, you know? Like there was literally probably 50 strippers a show. It was insane. And they would be like go hand pluck them from the city. I don't know what they would do.
They'd go to the club.
It was different girls, yeah.
They're like, here,
So-
this is our audition.
It was pretty wild. I mean, they had clothes on, so I guess they were burlesque dancers.
yeah.
But it was a good time, man. Shit, that's enough about me, dude.
No, I'm just interested. Like the stories are awesome because for me, this is this is my adolescence, my like young adulthood, and just
I
like
got a few
growing
years
up,
on you, huh?
just like listening to this music. And so to have someone that was so entrenched in that production of some of the things that I was seeing is like, I'm like a kid in the candy store. I'm like, this is awesome.
Hell yeah,
So
let's go, dude.
so
I'm reliving my youth as well, man, through those stories. I had so much fun out there, dude. So much fun.
oh yeah, it's so cool to me to hear like all those type of stories. And like I love like the behind the scenes stuff, and I want to see what it takes, because a lot of what I do in fighting, like everybody only sees like that 15 minutes or the 25 minutes that in the cage, and like only a few people get to see like everything that goes into it, you know. And like even with me on my Instagram, I show probably less than 3% of what I'm doing on a daily basis in order to prepare for that 15 minutes or that 25 minutes. And so hearing somebody from your side describe another field, that's, you have to have that similar professionalism, and like to hear that from you is like really cool and interesting to me. So I'm like,
Awesome.
I'm like eating it up.
Well, the feeling's mutual, man. Like I think the reason I know the reason why I like enjoy having fighters in, that some of them have become my friends, even though much of that isn't my background. Like I've trained very minuscule jiu-jitsu. I've done some Muay Thai, like I've boxed a little, but like nothing like what you guys put in, not the work, right?
I mean, it's just different, you know. I think it's
a different level.
I think it's all like perspective and relative. Like, I mean, my heart is different than the heart of a guy who's doing a 9 to 5, you know. Like their heart is, I couldn't sit at a desk and be yelled at by a boss that can't do 10 push-ups and then have to just eat it and then come back again the next day. Like that type
I can't do that
like
either.
that's a different type of hard, you know. So like I think hard is just relative to, I think it's subjective, not just relative, it's subjective.
It's just a different level. You guys are doing that as your career. And like, but I guess to bring it back to my point was roadies and the guys that I worked with, man, were just so cool. That's how I know all the former operators that I know, because they worked in personal protection.
Oh yeah.
And so
speaking of, dude, I love Beto, and
Oh,
I
dude.
love Ryan too. Like Ryan and Beto together are just great. And like I'm texting Beto before my fight. I'm like, dude, this guy is awesome. And we have like we found out that we have like even a deeper familial connection from the way that I grew up in religion and stuff than in the way that he grew up as well. So I'm
really,
like, wow, this dude is like, we're connected on a different level. I'm like, this is awesome. And he's just Beto's a freaking amazing guy. And then Ryan's a wrestler. So it's just like him and I are like, we're buds, but it's
all
awesome.
those guys, man.
Yeah.
I wish you could. I bet you eventually you will through them, because it's funny. Like whenever I'm hanging out with like Beto or Ryan or something, like there's always somebody new that I meet in the mix or in the crew.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. You know, I've gotten to know so many of those guys just through that. We used to take them down to Mexico, or they were taking us down to Mexico to do like a bunch of Monster Energy stuff, like a bunch of off-road race stuff. And that's where I really got to know those guys. And then also, you know, a ton of my friends from the rock and roll industry, because I don't know how many hours I stood outside of a dressing room or rode a bus or a plane with security guys, you know, or personal protection guys as a stage manager, just because like those were my homies.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like we're going to the bar together. Those are the guys in your corner, I guess. But I guess, you know, to bring it back to that point is, I think the reason why I like having fighters in, genuine ones too. I'm not talking like your Colby Covingtons and stuff. No disrespect, but not my sort of people, right? Like,
No,
I'm just not a fan. I'm sure if we sat down and had a whiskey, but if he's on camera, I don't want to talk to him then, right?
Yeah,
like,
it's weird. It's
I like
weird. It's
Grant the
it's
Truth
forced.
Neal,
yeah,
man. Bring me the real
It's a little
shit.
forced, but you know, but he's got to do it. You know, like I understand
Sells
that
tickets, man. It puts
he's
butts
selling
in seats.
Yeah, you know, so like people love a car crash. You know what I mean? So like whether you're doing something crazy, whether you're doing something good, people love like things that are provocative. People like I love a car crash, you know, like if I turn my head, I'm like, man, that's a car crash. You know, I'm
Right.
interested in it, like just human nature. So like, yeah, I understand it, but it's still like, what's going on here? You know, like
Yeah, but
like
for the most part, it seems like to me, and maybe it's just because I catch a lot of fighters outside of the fight game, right?
Yeah.
Is you guys are just genuinely real people, like those operators. Roadies
Yeah.
are very much like that because if you don't tell people how you can't hide who you are for 17 hours a day.
No.
On 2 hours of sleep.
No.
It's all going to come out,
exactly.
right?
Exactly.
And getting your ass kicked makes you a little bit more humble. Like what might be a big problem to somebody is really not a big problem to us because you're used to getting kicked in the dick or punched in the mouth or whatever it is, right?
Yeah.
It's like, so I think that's genuinely why I enjoy having you guys in, like just some real motherfuckers like Chris and Gertz, man. Gertz, we had such a good time in here, dude.
Yeah. Dude,
He's a fucking riot, bro.
Gertz is unbelievable.
We made so many badass clips of him. I don't know if you saw any
yeah,
of them.
I saw so many of them. No, I'm so the flip side of that motorcycle wreck story. So if you want to get into it,
Yeah,
this
I want to hear your side.
This is my perspective. So, you know, I think this is last summer, and I'm actually it's late last summer, so I'm preparing for my fight in October. So it's like the first couple weeks of training camp, and I'm going to 185 pounds. I know that Gertz is going to be there because Gertz is he's in my corner for every fight. So Gertz is he's my juice. You know, like when I need someone to fucking, you know, get me going after it, like Gertz is that guy, you know. And so like
I could feel it, man.
you know,
like I was ready to run through the wall after he left here.
And everybody who's spars, it's a sparring. So our sparring days are on Friday, and so like Gertz is my juice on sparring day. And so like if I'm sparring somebody and Gertz is in the room, guys are like, dude, why is Gertz here? Because like he can get me to a different level that no one else can really get me to. And so that day when Gertz is flying to the gym, I guess I'm like already there a little bit early, and Gertz is usually earlier on time. He's not a super late guy like Chris, but no, he's earlier. He's earlier on time, and I found it kind of weird that Gertz wasn't there. And I was like, Gertz always does, like, he's a man of principle. So he always, like, does what he says he's going to do. And so I'm like, man, that's kind of weird. Like, I don't know where Gertz is. Like, my first week of training camp, I'm like, I kind of need him here. But okay, whatever. And so, like, I'm going and, you know, sparring is going all right. And I'm just interested in, like, what happened. Like, I was like, Gertz is always here. So I go up to one of the guys that showed up a little later to sparring, and he's like, yeah, man, dude, there was like kind of a lot of traffic. And I was like, what do you mean there's a lot of traffic? He's like, yeah, man, there was a lot of traffic. I showed up a little late. He's like, yeah, someone that looked like Gertz was like in a motorcycle accident. And so I'm like, that's my brother. So I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what do you mean someone that looked like Gertz? He's like, well, yeah, dude, some dude that had a beard and long hairs.
He's like, wearing a Genesis jumpsuit.
I was like, what? You're just now going to tell me this? So like, I'm like trying to call like all the hospitals and stuff because that stretch of I-70 is like fast.
Oh, dude, it's a
like
death trap, man.
Yeah. And so like, I'm like freaking out. I was like, that's my brother. And so like, I'm calling all these hospitals. I'm calling him, and I finally figure out what hospital he's at, and I'm like, what the heck's going on?
See, he didn't even tell us he went to the hospital.
No. So like, that's the thing. Like, they made him go to the hospital. He wouldn't have gone.
I'm sure.
Yeah. And so I'm like trying to get a hold of his fiance, and like, just, you know, I just want to make sure that things are all good, and I don't want her, because she has the kids, and so I'm like, I don't want her to. Or at the time she was pregnant with Vahan, and she had and she had the little one. So I'm like, I don't want to stress her out. I don't want to stress the baby out. Like, I'm going to take care of this as like his little brother. So I go in there, and Gertz is like all like torn up, and I'm like, he's bleeding all over the place, and this hospital is like doing a terrible job. And he's like, I just need stitches, and I just want to get the heck out of here. And the doctor is just taking forever, and he's just bleeding everywhere. Like, I'm like, yeah, they just need to get you some stitches. He's like, yeah, that's all I need. It's like, so what's going on? He goes, yeah, dude, I was going like 65, 70 miles an hour, and like some dude just like stopped right in front of me, and I just like flew off my bike. I just hit a little tuck and roll and popped back up onto my feet. I was like, at 70 miles an hour, I was like, no more. Like, bro, you can't ride a bike anymore. He's like,
only Gertz would walk away from that.
You're walking away from a motor, dude. People die at 30 miles an hour, 70 miles an hour, and you just walk onto your feet. And he's like, yeah, dude, just, like, so like, I was just like, and I got back up. I was like, dude, you're like the Terminator.
Anybody that's listening to this, go watch the clip, because he's like, yeah, I was doing 75. I hit a car. I did a couple flips. I was in the air for a few minutes, and then I just do a couple tuck and rolls, kind of like Sonic the Hedgehog. And I just kind of ran out of it.
He said, yeah, that's what he told you. So I ran out of it, and I'm like, I'm so confused because I'm like, you should have a broken bone. Like, you should. He had a couple scrapes and like some road rash, and I'm like,
that
this
guy
dude
is
a
just
Terminator.
built different. He is the Terminator, man. Like, he's one of the fighters that I love to watch fight, because you just know. Oh yeah, you included, man. Chris is the same way. It's like that whole little clique.
Yeah.
And your Dustin Jacoby's, like those sort of guys. There's going to be fireworks, dude. Like, you're not going to see somebody go in there and game plan to like a strategy to make it to the 5th round in a decision, man. No, like, that's not in the game plan for you guys ever. No, it seems like, even if it is, it's a dogfight all the way through.
100%.
There's no sandbagging.
Yeah, and I mean, we're all cut from the same cloth. That's why we all get along.
Yeah,
but yeah, Gertz is he's a maniac, and it really is a testament to who he is, because he's really helped develop me as a fighter, and been very pivotal in my career thus far, and it's going to be an extreme and an important piece to getting me to where I want to go, and I want to be the best in the world, and not just want to, I will be. And I firmly believe that, and everybody around me believes that as well.
Shit, I do too, man. I'm the biggest fan, man. Like, you in and outside of the ring, both, man. Like, you're just like, you're built for it, man. And that's one reason why you're sitting here, man. I fucking love you, brother. It is unbelievable. I guess that's kind of where I was going originally with this, was it's because once you get invested with somebody and you get to know somebody, right? Like, I get a little bit of heartbreak too, you know what I mean? Like, and I know it's not even close to the same level in all the weeks, but I know what you guys go through, right?
So it is close, sorry to interrupt, but like it like you're saying, it's not close. It is. Like, when I'm watching my teammates go, or watching someone that I really care about do what I'm doing, sometimes it's harder, because what they go through, their families, how much time was spent, how much sacrifice they made, and man, it's hard on the whole community, so like, yeah, it's hard on the
highest of highs on the other side, right? Like,
you chasing that high is just, it's unbelievable,
right?
It's amazing.
Yeah, man, it's a crazy game, man. My hat goes off to you guys, man, but I just love the like camaraderie, the friendships that I've built with you guys, not even being a part of like a fight camp or anything like that. So I have a lot of fun with you guys, man. Good group of guys. Shout out to everybody on the team, man. So to take it back to Belfast, we went off on the rock and roll tangent. We'll try not to do that anymore unless you want to hear something. If you want to make it that, we will. But this one's about you, dog. Yeah. So anyways, I was in Belfast. We were doing that glow in the dark tour, and we had 3 weeks of rehearsal to get all of our shit right. So normally you work kind of normal hours. Then you're like, okay, show up at the venue at 8 and we're leaving at 6 or 7, maybe whenever Kanye's done rehearsing, right?
Yeah.
So we had a lot of time to go experience the city, go to all these different bars, and me being a young, dumb kid, right? I guess I wasn't that young then. I was maybe 27, but I think that was really my first time in Northern Ireland.
Yeah,
where I actually got to experience it and go like see it. Every other time we would just like blow through, and a lot of bands wouldn't even go there. Like, especially in the early 2000s when I first kind of started.
Yeah,
You weren't going there,
Yeah.
dude. They were still throwing pipe bombs like over the wall and shit, dude. Like it was for real.
Oh yeah, I mean we're there in Belfast, and it's still like contentious. Like the mayor's like, we were there for St. Patrick's Day, and like the mayor's like, any self-respecting Protestant wouldn't partake in St. Patrick's Day celebrations, and I'm like, wait,
Holy
what?
shit,
like
yeah.
this is
It's still a religion war there, man.
it's still like tension. Like we go to the arena, and they said that we weren't allowed to have any flag. Like the arena was banning anybody to have any flags in the arena.
I was wondering because normally you walk out with a flag, right?
You couldn't have any flags, and you know why they said that, but it was just like, ooh, this is. It gave you like a little bit of a crazy. It was like a crazy type feeling, and you know, it's still like it's more so like now diverged into like a city rivalry, but there's still like some deep seated tension there.
Yeah,
and it's interesting.
It's crazy, man. There's a lot of history there. I think the Titanic was built there too.
Yeah, the Titanic was built there, and like the stadium that we fought at, the SSE Arena, is like across the street from the shipyard that the Titanic was built.
Yeah, that's the same spot that we were rehearsing with Kanye, just to put it in perspective. Man. So you and I have a little bit of history there now.
Yeah.
So Chris was hitting me up, or I hit Chris up because I got to know Belfast being there for 3 weeks, and then we would have some days off where Kanye would fly to do a radio show or something like that.
Yeah.
And because I wasn't part of the management, the crew would have a day off. So we got to go do so many cool things, man. We did so much shit there. But mostly it was bars and kind of nightlife, man, because we were getting off at like that 6 o'clock hour. So I think it was the first week they were there, and me not knowing better and me going with a couple of my buddies from like Southern California. I think it might have been like one of their first tours and maybe the guy's like second tour. And I'd had it a little bit under my belt. But I was like, what bars should we go to? Talking to some of the locals. And they're like, oh, you got to go to the Crown.
Yeah.
But there's a difference between a bar and a nightclub in Ireland that we didn't, that I didn't really know about, right? And me just being the dumb idiot that I am and not really reading into like the history of it, we walked into the Crown bar and I was like, we'll take 4 car bombs.
Oh my God. You said that?
Irish car bombs. Yeah.
That's like someone going into New York and being like, yeah, we'll take 4 9/11s.
Yeah.
Like what?
No idea.
That is wild.
So
dude, you were a wild man.
I didn't know. I'm an idiot, dude. I didn't know any better. Like genuinely.
Are you kidding me?
They didn't even know what that drink was. So I quickly had to explain to them because they took offense to it, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
Like the bars there are like libraries, bro. They're like super quiet. There's not a whole lot of like talking going on. Like people are in there like reading books and having a Guinness or pint or whatever. It's pretty quiet. Now the nightclubs on the other hand are the exact opposite, dude. Like you want to get in a fight, you want knives pulled on you, you want some crazy shit to go down, go to the nightclub. So anyways, this there was like a middle-aged gentleman behind the bar, but quickly everybody came that was working in the place from behind the bar, and they were all family. So it was like 2 grandsons, a dad, a grandfather like came out of the back, and they were like, hey, let me explain something to you. And I was like, yeah, I'm listening. I'm like, I'm sorry, this is a drink in the US, you know, like I didn't even put it together.
Dude, you're perpetuating the stereotype of an American traveler. Like you're like, this fucking idiot.
Yeah, and I vaguely remember one of them having like a little billy club in their hand at one point, you know, and they were just kind of like, hey, this isn't the place to fuck around. Like that's what they told me at first, and I was like, whoa, I'm sorry, I haven't, you know, I started apologizing right away. I was like, we'll just take 4 pints of Guinness. We're not here to cause any problems. And what I didn't realize was that was the most bombed bar in all of the UK ever, even through World War II and shit, dude. Like that place
went through some
right, and that's where a lot of the conspiracy shit like started to happen, or uprisings and stuff like that to kind of cause some of this. So I don't know, in the bar they only have 3 seats, right, and then there's like a big ass divider. Yeah, and then all the booths are completely blocked in, like a big phone booth.
Yeah.
So you can't start any shit in there. And I just didn't realize, man, that. So we made it right with them, man. Like, I think I gave them a couple €100 or whatever. It's euro up there, right?
Pounds.
Pounds, that's right, yeah.
It's,
So I gave them a couple hundred
English.
pounds. And they were super cool at the end of it, right? They got it. And or I got it. I understood. And it was like, I'm a super respectful person.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's how I figured out the entire history. They told me the whole history, and then it turned into actually a really cool experience because they started telling us stories that you probably wouldn't hear in the news or that you couldn't read in a book. If you're not checking out the Mountainside Podcast on YouTube, you absolutely should be. If you like the content that we create here and you want to help support the podcast, please take a moment, subscribe to us on YouTube, and hit that notification bell. So yeah, they quickly explained to us, so like, if you want to get fucked up, because I told them what the shot was, and they'd never even heard of it, right? Because I just don't think Americans really, they go to Dublin, they go to like
but
Southern Ireland.
You don't really go to Belfast.
You're not really welcome there, honestly, or we weren't when we were there.
It's
maybe
different.
it's because we were ordering Irish car bombs.
It's English. You know, like all the television shows are like it was British television. You know, so and then like we went to Dublin one of the days too, and so like it was a lot different. Like like when I was in Dublin, I mean, the fight culture in all of Ireland, like, they love fighters. So, like, I was a genuine celebrity when I went anywhere in Ireland. And it was a really, like, different experience to me. I was like, in America, I'm just like, I fight. And they're like, oh, that's cool. In, like, Ireland, like, grandpas and cousins and everybody's wanting to take pictures, and they're like very interested in the fight. They actually know who you are. They're not just taking pictures just because. They like follow your fighting. They know who you are. They're excited to watch you fight. Like, they want you to like make sure that you're going to this place and that place, and they're like very hospitable. And like, we didn't have any issues, but it was just funny. Like, the guys in Dublin, like the older guys in Dublin, they're just like, yeah, you're going up to Belfast. Well, you better kick that scumbag's ass. And I'm like, it's like the dude scumbag.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny. Like, I'm like, man, they're serious.
Yeah, they
it's
don't
like,
fuck around.
No,
dude. It's crazy.
And so no, it's definitely a different atmosphere from like Southern Irish and Northern Irish, and
it's kind of like East Texas versus like LA or something, man.
Yeah,
it's like that sort of different. Like, you
That's
might get
even
your
more
ass beat
contentious
up or
than
shot
that.
in South Texas, you know. But I guess you can in LA too. But
yeah, it's just different.
Yeah,
it was cool. It was a cool experience, and you know, I really value immersing myself in the different cultures and understanding like their value system, and really just being a student to that environment. And I think a lot of the Irish people really loved that. Like, I would go and have genuine conversations with the people that were running family-owned pubs or bars and stuff. And I visited like the same coffee shops when I was there, and it was awesome. And then I built a relationship with a lot of people. And like, the funny thing is, like, a lot of the women there, they talk shit, you know. It's funny. They give
they're
you
like
shit.
Boston girls, dude.
It's awesome. I'm like, they can hang with the best of them.
Have you been to Scotland?
I didn't get to go across to Scotland, but it was just funny.
I encourage you to go the next time you're over there. Yeah. Like, those people are fucking awesome, man.
Oh, I was so surprised. Dude. I was like, man, like, a lot of the times the women were funnier than the men. Like, they were just talking shit. Like, I remember one of the women at the coffee shop was just like, I think someone was like thinking about not ordering a coffee, and she's like, I'd rather die before I drink decaf. And I was just like, oh gosh. Like, she had a shirt like decaf or death or something like that. Like, that's wild. And then like it was just funny. Like, they're good comedians, and they just talk a lot, and I loved it. It was cool.
Yeah, man, we had a good time over there for sure. Just the culture's the funnest part. The people are amazing too. Mm-hmm. So those guys at the Crown Bar told us, they were like, hey, if you want to get fucked up, or like one of the younger guys, he's like, go to this nightclub. This is where all the ladies like hang out, right? And drink some absinthe.
Oh, dude,
we had no
real absinthe
idea.
there?
Yes, we were drinking absinthe that night, and it turned into like a psychedelic freaking
journey,
mess, dude. Like it was wild.
You taste
so
the
they
fairy,
know how to party, yeah. That was a wild
fairy
time.
in the bottle,
that was first time. So then we ended up turning the whole entire crew onto it, and a bunch of guys brought bottles home and shit.
I didn't even
crazy.
know that they had it there. But
I wasn't sure. It's like a nightclub thing there.
Yeah.
And the nightclubs get wild, man.
Yeah, I didn't
talk about some
experience
fights.
that.
I saw like probably
They were
I
fighting
think we
culture.
only went like 2 nights, and dude, the alley was just like, I'm sure they had to wash the blood off of it in the morning.
They're fighting people, and
Yeah.
they're fighting Irish. I love
Especially you get a little bit of alcohol in them, it's go time.
Yeah, we were there for St. Patty's Day, and it's just interesting because St. Patrick's Day you would think would be like a huge Irish holiday, but they celebrate it there, but I think in Belfast,
like we do here.
Yeah, in Belfast, I think they just recognized it as a holiday. I think in like 2000 or 2005, and so like it started in New York, so like
Right.
yeah, St.
The
Patrick's
meaning
Day
here is like to go get hammered, and
yeah, it's the same meaning there
Yeah.
as well, like the same exact meaning, but it's just a lot different. Like 1 second,
yeah, no worries.
it's same but different.
Have you spent any time in Boston?
I
Have you done the Freedom Walk? or
I have
anything?
yet to go to Boston.
Dude, it is a badass city, man.
Yeah.
It's cool to experience for American history.
Oh yeah,
Because a lot of it originated there,
Yeah.
like Philadelphia is cool, but I think Boston, just with the history of like the war, the revolution, everything kind of started there, the Boston Tea Party.
the only thing I know about Philadelphia is Bill Burr's roast. Have you heard his Philadelphia roast?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
I love that man.
Oh,
he's one of
love
my
it.
favorite comics
Bill Burr
by
is
far.
awesome, and like one of my friends, they played football against Philly, and I think it was the it's Philadelphia versus San Francisco, and they lost to Philly. And
Recently?
it was not last year, but it was the year
Yeah,
before.
like within the last 10 years. Yeah.
So they lost to San Francisco, lost to Philadelphia, and he plays for San Francisco. And I go,
Is this Christian?
Can
we name him?
Yeah, you go,
Dude,
for it.
I'd love to have him. I
Yeah.
want you and Christian sitting here, dude.
That'd be
That'd
awesome.
be badass.
But
I'm the biggest fan. My kid is too, man. So like,
he was all bummed out, and I was like, dude, I got to send you something that'll, at least help your spirits out, because I don't care what Philadelphia, their fans are a bunch of pieces of shit. Like they have literally the worst fans in all the NFL.
Agreed.
It's like worse than Raiders fans. Like they're terrible. And like and so I sent Christian the Bill Burr Philly rant, and he goes, I think I've listened to this 30 times.
let's go.
And he's all like, this is what got me through that. But that roast is just amazing.
So my kid's a huge NFL fan, right?
Yeah.
And his grandfather, my wife's dad, bought me, him, and his grandfather. We went to Broncos Eagles.
Oh yeah.
But the tickets that he bought were like in the 300s on the visitor side, and we were playing the Eagles, right?
They're just.
And we lost that day, so we had to walk out of the 300s. Like all the way down, while they were singing "Fly Eagles Fly" like the whole entire way. And we got on the train to go back to we parked the car in Golden.
Yeah.
And rode the train down. And so we had to ride the train with a bunch of them too. And we got in the car. And my son Tyler is just this very put together, well-mannered kid. And he goes, Dad, I don't think I like the Eagles anymore. I was like, this is why you go. Yeah.
Yep.
It's hilarious. But it's funny because Jeremy, who helps me, he started the podcast with me from day one, sitting over there where Tyler is.
Yeah.
And then we have a lot of close friends around here, and they're all from Philly, and they're fucking awesome people on an individual level, but as a group, dude.
Eagles fans are the worst.
Yeah.
As my friends from Dublin would say, they're a bunch of scumbags.
I actually have a friend of mine that won a Super Bowl trophy with the Eagles that year. Joe Walker played on the team. But he's like a SoCal kid. I don't even know if he's still playing in the NFL. I don't think he is. Yeah, no, it's wild. But back to Boston, and they're pretty rowdy too. But like, at least they have a little bit of class with it. That's the thing I don't like about the Philly fans. Is like there's no class in the banter.
Yeah, it's just
New Yorkers and Boston people will think of some clever shit to say, dude. That'll kind of make you laugh
a little bit. You know, like that's what I like. Like even with fighting, like if people say something, it's like, man, that's just mean. But then it's like, oh, that's actually funny. Like if you got some like comedic energy coming behind like your meanness, I'm like, oh, I kind of like this person. You know? Like, root for your team, root for your fan, like talk a little shit. But like when you can shit talk and you have like a little comedic like energy with it, oh man, I have respect for it. I mean, I like it, but I'm like, oh, respect.
I like the real clever shit. Like we were on tour and we were stepping off a bus for like a day off and checking into a hotel. And this is like downtown New York. I think we were playing the Garden. I don't remember exactly where we were staying, but my homie Bucky, who is a guitar tech on Rihanna, biggest, like grew up in Boston, old Boston punker, like neck tattoos, always wears a Boston Red Sox hat everywhere he goes. Like, and the iconic one, right? So we step off the bus and here comes this guy down the sidewalk in a Yankees hat. And this was right after their rivalry, right? Uh-huh. And they just like, they made eye contact. And the guy from New York goes, "You're in the wrong fucking place, pal." And that was it. And just kept walking. I was like, this is the best, dude. Like that sort of banner is the shit I like, right?
That's like what happened to JJ Redick. That's just hilarious to me. I guess a bunch of fans in the front row were just chirping him when he was at Duke. And they had a bunch of shirts that said, I want to name my son JJ Redick. And like he like went up to the kids like, I think at like halftime or after the game, and then they turned around in the back of their shirt said, "So I could beat him every day."
Oh my god, dude!
And he just goes, and JJ was like, you know, like I couldn't even be mad at that chirp. That was that's the chirp hilarious. Of the century, you know, like so I could beat them every day. I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
That's awesome.
But, yeah, no, those type of chirps are funny.
Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, dude, if you ever get a chance, go to Boston because I think it's about, look up how far the Freedom Walk is. I think it's maybe like 3 miles or something is all.
Uh-huh.
So like the Boston Tea Party happened there. The Boston Massacre, 2.5 miles.
Yeah.
There's a graveyard where Samuel Adams is buried, and then you can walk across the street and drink a pint of Samuel Adams.
Yeah.
Dude, there's so much just badass, cool history that you can see right there in that 2.5 miles. It's pretty cool, man. I think Benjamin Franklin is buried in that same graveyard at the start of the Freedom Trail. And there's this badass pub there called the Bell in Hand. And I think it's the oldest bar in America. Yeah, you might have to look this up too, Tyler. I keep calling you Derek, huh? Have I done that?
I think only once.
Okay, sorry, brother.
I think only once.
My bad, dude. It's been a revolving door in here this week. Yes, badass place. Incredible oysters that they serve out of here, but like good pints and everything too. Maybe just put is it the oldest bar in America? ? But anyways, this is kind of where the revolution started. Like this is where
That's awesome.
You know, George Washington sat and talked to Ben Franklin or whatever, and they were like, let's start a revolution, you know, or whatever.
That's so awesome.
And it's kind of funny. It's like right around the corner from where the Boston Tea Party happened and the Boston Massacre. Like all this shit is right around there.
Oldest tavern.
Oldest tavern in America.
That's
badass
really,
spot.
Yeah, I definitely have to go to that. And you can see the architecture. It's like so European.
Oh, it's so cool. See if there's any photos of the inside. It's cool too. They have like, you know, some period stuff in there. Like there's an old like American flag where it was only 16 stars, I think.
Mm-hmm.
The original. It's a cool spot, man. It's kind of got that cornered look to it like the Brown Palace does too, right? Like that triangular.
Yeah. It's just like a caddy corner type bar.
Yeah, that's a good spot. But that's the closest thing that I've experienced to like, dude, when you get into like Scotland and like Edinburgh and stuff, you can go to like the Robin Hood bar and it's like from like the 1600s.
Yeah, that's what I'm like.
It's fucking wild.
It's
dude.
crazy. And then you
Some of the
understand
castles
like,
there.
all the old stuff, like the ceilings are like super short. Like people were just like smaller.
Yeah, like hobbits or something. Man. It's
They're
crazy.
You're like ducking. I'm not a tall person, but I'm like, this is crazy.
Dude, me in Japan, and dude, one time I lost, they lost my luggage going to, I think we were starting in Brussels.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy my size to try to find clothes over there at that time was like, yeah, and our next stop was like Paris or something. I was like, fucking no, not a chance, dude. I was wearing baby tees everywhere, dude.
That's awesome.
It was like the gun. Everybody was making fun of me, like, "Oh, it's the gun show today, right?" Because a normal T-shirt would be like up to here on.
That's awesome.
It was pretty funny.
No, I mean, I love traveling and seeing the world. I think it's so important. And when I have my kid, my son. I found out I'm having a son.
Congratulations, by the way, too,
Thank
dude.
you.
I saw the post and it's super rad, man.
Yeah, I'm
How
so
exciting
excited.
and nerve-wracking is that shit, dude?
It's funny. Like I was so excited. My first reaction when my wife told me that we were pregnant was like excitement, and then like probably like 15 minutes later, I went into like 1,000-yard stare.
Some deep thinking, huh?
I was just like, oh. Yeah, I'm gonna be a dad, you know. So she's like, "Are you not happy?" I was like, "No, my first reaction was happy, but now it's just a lot different. It's just like preparing your mind to be like, there's a lot more than you. You know, it's bigger than you. So like, I'm so excited about it. And
This might get too personal, but was it planned or was it a surprise?
it was planned by her, is what I'll say.
Okay.
You know, I guess she had been talking to
Let's
everybody.
have a drink to that, by the way. You want some ice, brother?
Yeah, let me get some ice.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm super happy for you, dude. To be honest with you, completely honest, is it all one big cube?
Got it.
Okay. It's the best thing, and I know this is cliche as hell to say, but it's the best thing that's ever happened to me, dude.
Oh,
Thank you, sir.
of course.
Tyler, you want one?
Sure.
All right, get in here, buddy. So yeah, yeah, you're welcome. There's ice out there too if you need it. Oh, you know where it's at. You're the ice guy. I don't know why I'm telling you.
He's hitting it neat.
Thank you, guys.
Let's go.
Cheers.
Cheers. Congratulations.
Thank you so
That's
much.
badass.
Yeah, I think the mindset immediately for me kind of shifted. Like it's completely unselfish, and a lot of times especially in the sport that I do, you have to be selfish at certain moments. And my wife also understands that. So like in fight camp and stuff, she understands what I have to do in order to prepare and things like that. But outside of that, it's like, all right, what do you need? What can I do? How can I help you and the baby? I don't want to stress out the baby. I don't want to stress you out. So, yeah, the mindset definitely shifts. And I am so excited to be a dad. And everybody says that there is no perfect time to have a kid, but you get a kid at the perfect time. And
Agreed.
I'm excited to experience that feeling, you know. It's definitely an interesting transition, but I'm like, there's no better time than right now.
You're going to be a great father, man. Just with like your upbringing with your grandpa and your history and like you're going to be a great dad. I'm so excited for you.
I know that I'm going to do my best to be a great dad, you know, and I think that is my God-given like calling. I really have always wanted to be a dad. I'm excited about it. So it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
Hell yeah. It's going to be super awesome, man. And your boy's going to have a lot of uncles, man. Myself included.
Oh,
Uncle
yeah.
Bobby,
Yeah.
Uncle Chris, Uncle Gertz. You know,
my
like,
gosh. Yeah.
It's going to be crazy.
It's going to be so awesome. And he's going to have so many like cousins to grow up with too. Like between Gertz and then my brother Archie, they have between those
all
two.
Your family still here in Colorado?
There's a lot of family still in Colorado.
Right?
Yeah, there's a lot of family in Colorado, a lot of family in Nebraska, got a lot of family in North Carolina. So we have family like everywhere. And Hannah's family is here right now, so it's we'll have a really solid support system, and I'm excited.
That's huge, man. That's really big. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, you guys, I mean, you can't explain the feeling of them actually being born and what it feels like. Like, it's something that you're going to experience, but it's
nuts.
like,
I talk to him every day, you know?
Yeah,
He's just
dude, and that shit matters.
Oh,
believe it or not, man. Like, me being the old roadie that I am now, you know, but I was a younger roadie then. You know, I guess I just didn't really take it, but I did the same thing. I embraced everything, right, with the first one. And me even being gone was kind of like, okay, let me go make this big chunk of money so I can take some time off.
Yeah.
And there was a big carrot dangled, so I went out and did it. And then, but even me just being around, and I think it was kind of a blessing too, what happened to my wife, you know, going into labor at 22 weeks, because that gave me time. So I would talk to my daughter every day.
Yeah.
And it's crazy, dude. When they're born, they recognize your voice.
Yeah, that's what everybody keeps on telling me.
Unreal. Unreal. My daughter was 5 pounds and she recognized my voice. She was like, wait, is that dad?
Yeah.
I mean, screaming, bawling in the NICU. Like, they took her, as soon as she was born, we didn't even get to hold her. They just took her straight to the NICU. Oh, my God. And I got a little bit pissed. I mean, it was for her own good, but she was just like bawling, and they wouldn't let me go through. It was like a double set of doors that you had to go through. And you had to go through this whole sterilization where you had to wash your hands for 5 minutes.
Oh my God.
So I could see her on the other side of the glass just bawling.
Yeah, and you just wanted
and she hadn't eaten anything or like, you know,
Yeah.
and so I'm just like washing my hands and just getting more pissed off. And like the whole situation, there's a nurse that sits there and watches you wash your hands with a timer, like a stopwatch to make sure. And it's the full doctor scrub down.
Yeah.
And you got to wear a mask and a gown and all this shit to even go in and like see your kid. And then I couldn't touch her right away. But her just recognizing my voice, she instantly stopped crying and opened her eyes like, where the fuck have you been?
Yeah.
I've been in here for like 5 minutes.
That's so awesome.
Yeah, it was dope. So that made me feel good.
Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, man. It's there's some ups and downs to it too, man. Like, just get your sleep while you can. The first, you know, few weeks are rough, but
I think it's probably you know, I'm gonna do my best to do as much as possible for my wife, but I know that
when's
from
the due
date? September 20th.
Oh, dude, that's perfect, bro.
Yeah,
it's so perfect. I'm gonna tell you why here in a minute. Go ahead. I want you to finish.
So September 20th. It's very interesting because someone who's very important in my life, he passed away on Thanksgiving. You know, and my son has a potential to be born on his birthday. His birthday is September 22nd.
Really?
Yeah. So he has an opportunity to potentially be born on his birthday. So it's really special to me and special to my wife. And then, man, the other thing too is
you can schedule it nowadays.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
It's pretty cool.
My last two were scheduled. It's like, I think we can fit it into the calendar on, you know, this day or this way. I can go to work on Friday and
you know,
the weekend. Or it's crazy.
I mean, we're also circling a date for to me to continue my run at 185 pounds. So
let's go.
So I'll be going to San Diego and fighting on September 7th. So,
solidified?
Yeah. Well, it's not
it's
solidified until the contract is signed, but I mean, that's the date that we're circling, you know? And so as much as can be solidified is what we're saying. So September 7th.
How's it fighting in San Diego? They don't have a whole lot that happens down there.
I
but there's
loved
like
it.
the military community, Beto's. You got support down there?
Yeah, I went to Beto's house. Last time I fought in San Diego, I went to Beto's house and hit mitts and got out of the city for a little bit. And
hell yeah.
I mean, Beto is awesome. So it was great. And then, man, there's an Italian restaurant in Little Italy out there that I opened up 2 years ago. I'll give him some flowers, but it's called The Heights. And the owner, he just is awesome. I mean, he texts me to this day, and
Isn't your birthday around that same time, or was
my
it the
birthday's
last time?
October 5th.
Okay, yeah,
so,
that's
yeah.
right.
So the last time I was out there, it was my birthday. So, so Hannah obviously isn't going to be traveling with us, so I'll be out there fighting for the little one and for Hannah.
Did you have your birthday at this restaurant? Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
he had
tell me about the restaurant.
Okay, so
I didn't know it was your homies.
Yeah, so hey, we weren't just homies, but I like to have an Italian dinner before every single fight, and it's just kind of like the last supper before you go into battle.
So what's on the, like, you eat full on pasta and everything? And you
So my go-to is linguine and clams is like before,
Really?
but like that's my like pre-fight. Like I gotta have like linguine and clams and then
Hell yeah.
like all that. But I like to see everybody having a glass of wine and like just enjoying and just like, you know, like we understand that there's a job to be done, but it's just like, you know, your celebration before you go to war, you know, just like all of like the warrior cultures, you know, like this is the last night before battle, you know, so we're going to celebrate and then we're going to go to war and then we're going to celebrate after. And so, which was cool is we ended up going to the Heights and that
place looks badass.
Oh, it was so cool. And so the owner, his mom was in the back, like rolling the pasta and making sure everything's ran correctly. And like,
so it's family.
Oh,
yeah, it's like that traditional.
Oh yeah, it's cool because I went back there post fight and had my post fight dinner there as
Hell
well.
yeah.
And so
I'm gonna go there the next time.
Oh yeah,
and
you should.
Yeah.
I would love to have
I
you
might be
out.
there at the end of the month. So maybe I'll hit it up.
Yeah,
But,
you should hit up the Heights and just let me know. I'll give you his
dude, maybe
number
I'll
and
come
hit-
out for your fight too.
That
That
would
would be.
be-
I love the city of San Diego, man. Like,
that's probably the only place I'd live in California.
yeah,
Like,
I think it
love
is now
San
too.
Diego.
Northern Cal's pretty cool too, man. Up in the mountains, like.
Maybe in the mountains.
Yeah,
Northern Cal, I'm
but like
San Francisco.
No, fuck no,
Heck
dude. You can have that place.
Yeah, but no, I loved it, and we ate like kings, and he just was so awesome. Like he just took care of everybody, like brought out the best wine, like just made sure that it felt like family. Like shut down like half the restaurant for my post fight. Ended up kicking people out of the restaurant that finished eating, closed the doors, and we're just eating there and just having a good time. Brought cheese wheel pasta. He's serving up everybody and just like he's just a part of it. He's a part of the team now. So
God, I'm such a glutton when it comes to, you know, I'm 60% Italian. Didn't know it because I didn't know my father growing up.
well, you got to go the Heights.
And
You got to go to it.
It makes
Gotta
perfect
go to the
sense,
Heights.
dude, because
And-
I love Italian food, but it's not good for me. I would be the guy in The Godfather that was like 400 pounds if I ate it every day, bro.
I don't know, dude. The pasta's different in Italy, so
It
like,
is different. And the pizza is too. Like you get a pizza here and it's like fucking an 18-inch wheel.
Yeah.
And it's got it's loaded with like sauce and like super thick dough. Like,
Yeah.
You go over there and it's almost like, this isn't a pizza. This is a cracker with cheese on it, bro.
Yeah.
One of the coolest experiences I ever had was in Rome. I'm trying to think of who I was on tour with. It doesn't matter. But anyways, one time I was in Rome and me and a couple of my friends, we had a few days off. So we got off the beaten path and did the tourist thing. We went to the Colosseum and did like the full on like guided tour at the Colosseum, which was super cool. And then we ended up just like, we had been to Rome so many times. It was like, let's go find where like the locals hang out. Like,
Yeah.
we slowly figured out. And this is kind of when I was into World War II history too. And
I
so
mean,
like,
they have a ton of World War II.
oh my
shit.
God,
It's
dude.
like Mussolini.
oh,
and-
I got to see it all because
Yeah.
you go to every major city,
yeah.
you
I'm
know,
a big
Germany,
World War II
France,
fan, and
fucking-
so like some of the stuff in Europe with the World War II, like France. Did you go to Mount Grappa?
yes.
And then
Have you been to Brest ever?
no, the
Okay.
only place that I've traveled in Europe other than Ireland is Germany. So I mean
Germany is pretty crazy too.
Germany's nuts.
What city?
So I was in Bavaria. So I was in Bavaria, so Munich, and then I traveled into the mountains in Bavaria as well because I was going to see a doctor, and I mean I went past all the crazy castles and stuff that Walt Disney modeled all of the castles in Disney World after. So I got to see all those castles.
Some
when I was-
medieval shit there, bro.
It is, dude. Germany's wild.
I got to show you some
Germany
stuff.
is
We're gonna come back to my Rome story.
Yeah.
Tyler, go to Earth Iron Society. So this is like, I guess I sell some of this as fine art, and photography's been my background. That's what I did on the road as well sometimes too. Go to the actual website if you could.
This one right here?
It should be earthironsociety.com.
Earth Iron Society.
Look up the exact.
Yeah, no, I absolutely
So
love the
I know
history
you're
and
into
stuff.
blacksmithing.
Yeah,
And,
so that's
there's
who
no
my
better
son's
history.
gonna be named after. Is Harold is the
Really?
he passed away. So
Oh man, I'm
Yeah.
sorry. The last time you were in, it was this recent?
yeah, he passed away, and unfortunately on Thanksgiving. So
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
yeah, it sucks. That was a rough one.
Oh man, I did see that, and I
Yeah.
didn't make the connection that he was the one that was blacksmithing.
Oh yeah, his knives and everything are they're phenomenal, and so like
And he played pro ball, right?
oh yeah, yep.
He was as a Denver Bronco.
Denver Bronco, yep. And
man.
Forged in Fire champion was
Oh.
at his celebration of life, and
Really?
yeah. So
Was he on the show?
He never was on the show,
Okay.
but he worked with all. He never wanted the
Yeah.
limelight, but
Most blacksmiths don't.
he just was like his work and he was such a visionary, and just his blades are unreal. Like, I mean, we can after this we can pull up his
It's only coming
his
up
Instagram.
Go up to the top, right there on the bar. See where it says Mountainside right below the search bar. Now go one over. There's Earth Iron Society.
Oh, what the heck?
Is my website down? I better not be.
No, I looked that up.
Pay a lot of money for this fucking.
Wow.
So
Oh, look at that.
one of the things that I got infatuated with while I was over there is the blacksmith work, and this is in Cologne, Germany, and some of the craziest blacksmiths I've ever seen, or blacksmith work, is in Germany. And it's crazy once you start like reading into the history. I mean, this is how wars used to be won.
yeah.
Like, and so like for example, this is outside of the Dom, which is this iconic building that you'll have to Google after this. That's in Cologne, and there's this really cool bridge that goes over a river that's right there as well. But look at that! Somebody blacksmithed a
Blacksmithed that
snake,
snake.
and that's probably 200 or 300 years. I'm sorry, 2,000 or 3,000. No, 500 or 600 years old, maybe. I don't know how old this building is. We're gonna have to look it up. But
Everything
sorry,
in
go
Europe
back to
is
that.
really freaking old, though. It's not like the
pull up
United
this-
States.
Oh no, not at all, man. Pull up the front gate. Like, look at the intricacy in this, where it's just like that's all basically one piece of metal that's woven together.
That's
So
nuts.
I don't know if you can zoom in anymore. I mean, those are all and then it's poison ivy. You know, like, so I just spent hours like a psychopath outside of this gate, like taking
Just taking
photographs
photos of
of like. And then there's all these like crazy gargoyles, and like the detail in the building is unbelievable. There's like demons flying around and like angels with swords. Like, I mean, look at this. This is woven together, man. It's unreal. From a blacksmith standpoint, it's unbelievable.
Can you imagine just hammer? I mean, you're not using a power hammer.
No, this
That's
was before power.
Crazy.
Well, actually, they did have power.
They have wheel
hammers.
hammers.
Like, yeah, it was like
Yeah.
a donkey or
Yeah.
something. Then I think.
Probably heavy as hell.
Yeah, crazy, man. And to give it some perspective, like if you go back to that last photo that you were just on, nope, go one over the one at the base. So those uprights right there,
yeah.
probably 1.5 inch thick material. So it's not like it's a little
It's-
3/8
it's-
piece of
yeah.
fucking steel, dude. Like
1095.
Yeah.
You're like you're working through that.
it's wild, man. But right next to this there's a bridge that was completely bombed during World War II, and they've reconstructed it. So you walk across this bridge to get to this place, and there's still bullet holes in it from like the fighter planes going over. Dude,
No,
that
it's-
is a
it's
cool
heavy.
ass city.
It's heavy. Like, so
Matter of fact, this building, there's a whole chunk taken out of one of the corners of the walls. I have a ton of photos of this stuff.
what what the Allies did to Germany, it's like, I mean, they bombed it. Like, well, and then, I mean, the Nazis bombed like
It's a wonder that these buildings, I think
France
these these buildings are so iconic and so breathtaking when you
Yeah.
get to them. It's a wonder that they're still
Still-
there,
still
but I
there,
think
yeah.
it was respected. Like, this is a no-fly zone.
Yeah, well, it definitely was. There was definitely certain things that were respected, but there was a lot of things that was just like almost like divine intervention. Like, I don't know how it didn't just absolutely get destroyed. So, like in Bavaria and Munich, the hotel that we stayed at, it's called like the Bayer Eicherhof. Their bar, their main bar in that hotel, everything else was just bombed, and just everything around it. And then there's like 300 or 400-year-old mirror that somehow escaped the bombing. That part of that building, like the actual bar room, is the only thing in that block that stayed standing.
Wow.
And like it's pretty nuts to like see all that stuff, and like that stuff is old.
That's so
and
wild,
it's
man.
Like, you're like, wow.
We
this
did
is crazy.
we did a festival. This was eerie as shit, man. We did a festival. I think it was it Nuremberg? Where did Hitler make his big ass speech? Like, where it was like all the tanks lined up, and
Oh, I should definitely know this.
was it in Berlin?
It might have been in Berlin.
Dude, we did a festival at that site. And the
How
stage
crazy
was
was
like
that?
the stage wasn't set up where Hitler had a speech, but we went all around that place, like, and it was just fucking weird, man. It was crazy.
It wasn't the opera house. It was the outdoor.
It was the outdoor speech.
It's the famous
iconic,
one.
man.
Yeah, it's the one that they model like all the Empire
I think it
Strikes
is
Back
Nuremberg.
type
Nuremberg.
speech.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, like it's
100%.
It's all like the Star Wars like stuff that they model.
Dude, I
that
saw
at.
a meme of him posted at like the 19.
Have you heard any of his speech translated like through AI?
No.
It's
AI
like,
can do that?
yeah,
They
so,
will
like,
do it?
Yeah, so the AI like translates his speech to where like you're listening to it in like English. So like everything that you hear of Hitler, you're like, man, this is like crazy. He's just yelling and stuff, and a lot of his stuff just sounds like, and like when you're listening to it in German, you're like, oh, this guy is a freaking nut job. And then you hear it, it's like, you're like, that's not at all what I thought he was saying. And it's actually like, it's crazy. And then they're like, oh, this is how he tricked this many people into these crazy beliefs. Because like for me, I'm like, how could this whole society like get tricked into
Brainwashed,
like
really?
brainwashed
I mean,
into
yeah.
stuff like this? But he was,
That's it. Yeah.
Hitler was an absolute
It is Nuremberg.
yeah.
Yep.
So Hitler was an absolute savant when it came to like manipulating people's perspective and the way that he talked to people, and like he was so captivating and such a larger than life figure. It's actually quite
unbelievable
interesting.
that like he was just like the runt of the military. Like nobody really wanted to be around him, and he worked his way up into that like sort of.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's crazy when you think about it.
You know his mustache? Here's a little
Yeah.
piece of history for you that I didn't know. Do you know this about his mustache?
Tell me, I may have heard it before.
So apparently that wasn't like the look. He had a full on like handlebar mustache. And he was a soldier at some point. Was it during World War I?
World War One. He was a soldier in World War One.
So you couldn't put on, and they were gassing. That's
Yeah.
when like gassing got really big. So his mustache, he had always had a mustache for some reason, right? Like just like I've always had a beard.
Yeah.
dude. Like I've always had a goatee or a beard. But anyways, it would start leaking. The gases would leak through his gas mask. So he just trimmed it down to this, and he kept it like that for ever. That's why he has that little thing.
That's
it's
wild. Yeah. Like, yeah, I mean, yeah, Hitler's story is actually like, it's pretty nuts. He was like a big mama's boy. He was
Yeah.
like a little softy. And like
He was kind of like a little bitch that made it big.
Yeah.
Big time.
Yeah, man. It's not like that's like
Not
no
to
joke.
But it's like Justin Bieber turning into a world leader or a president.
Yeah.
And I don't mean to, or Macaulay Culkin,
Yeah,
or like
it's
one
like-
of these like Hollywood stars.
yeah,
type
he was
thing.
like really
Yeah.
big into the arts and like he was
Right.
like all that type of stuff. And dude, it's pretty crazy to see how things like changed. Like, man, like the gargoyles too that you were talking about earlier, like just seeing that in Munich, and then they're like, there's a gargoyle in like the square that I was in, and then they're like, yeah, this is where like Hitler had one of his apartments, and like I'm like, wait, what? And like there's just like a gargoyle sitting there, and then you just get like this eerie feeling. And I'm like,
I don't like
what
those
is-
fucking things, dude.
dude. I'm like, what is this?
Pull up the Dom in Cologne, Germany.
Yeah. So this is this square
Oh
right
shit.
here.
Okay.
This is
Sorry, we can go back to that.
So,
Yeah,
that
those things-
screaming gargoyle right there is in like the square that I was in where Hitler like was at. And you're like, what the
Those
heck
are
is
older
that?
than our country. Dude.
Yeah, I'm like, this is not. It makes you. I'm like, what is going on? Like, I'm like, what is going on? And like, you're like everybody. Like, there's a bunch of shops and like there's a mall right there, like an outdoor mall, and you're just like,
it's
and then you just
unbelievable.
look up and you see one of these gargoyles, and you're like, what is going on here?
What is around that one? Is that gridded out, like, or is it chicken wire so birds don't land on it? No, the one just
Oh yeah,
to the right
it's
of it.
chicken wire, so the
Okay.
birds don't.
Don't shit on it.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of that type of stuff, and then like the churches, and like that was the first time in Munich
look at
was
that one, dude. That one is.
Oh, yeah.
Because that resembles that's Gollum, dude.
Yeah,
That is Gollum from Lord of the Rings.
for real. And like, so I was fascinated with all this stuff, and then you go into the churches in Munich, and then like, man, they have
Bro,
priests
I know
that-
where the
that's just,
rest
like,
of the podcast is
just
going
like
right now.
the dead body, like the priest, like just
chilling.
open, just you watch this dude like literally just like bones just like rotten,
Bro,
It's like,
have you
that's
spent any time in
nuts.
Paris?
So Germany and Ireland are the only European countries I've been to.
The catacombs.
There's no way, dude.
It is
See that
unbelievable. bro.
that's
unbelievable.
that's what the black community. That's white people stuff.
It straight up is white people shit, dude. That is white people shit.
Stay away from that. But you know what? Death is for the dead. Life is for the living. You guys keep all that. Yeah,
Dude, it goes on for miles. And there's a whole like secret society down there that they'll like set up restaurants and movie theaters and organized crime type.
I mean,
shit,
there's
but-
catacombs run under everything now and then. Like that's crazy.
Dude, I'm pretty like, I wouldn't say like, this fucked me up, dude. This fucked me up for sure.
like these are just it's like
And
just
I
mass
kind of
grave.
understand like the story behind it. This was back before like death was just like an everyday occurrence for people back then, right?
I mean,
like,
it was common for you to see dead bodies in the street.
Yeah.
it wasn't like an uncommon thing. It was just
And
like
this
you
is
have
what-
to deal with it every day.
well, in culture, this is when they first started kind of like picking up dead bodies and either burying them or
Yeah.
mausoleum style, right?
But you can't bury them because you're on sea level. Like
they ran out of space.
Yeah.
So they decided to like basically take people out of their graves and make some art behind it. And it was just like, I just think that we value life so much differently than they did back then. I think you get desensitized to stuff, right? And like, I just had a conversation with this about somebody about hunting, and there's some issues coming up in Colorado that are going to the ballot. And I don't want to spend too much time on this because we've spent so much time on it, but I feel like hunters aren't the best way to portray to non-hunters because they're so desensitized to blood and life-leaving animals
Yeah.
that they're kind of jaded to it. And it's not that they the fucked up part is they probably care more about the animals than a non-hunter or on the extreme side. If you really get down to it, they genuinely do care, but they're desensitized to the actual process of it, right? And I think that
a hunter walking through a grocery store is very different than just your average person walking through a grocery store. The hunter walking through a grocery store understands how you got that cut of meat. The average person walking through a grocery store is just like, oh, that's just the meat section.
Right.
And like, so a hunter probably cares a lot more about the life.
Well, I just think about it this way too. So, and I've tried to be very careful with this. Like, even though I'm a bow hunter and I harvest or kill an animal every year, I don't post photos of it. I don't do it for this reason. Even when I take them for personal stuff, like if, and I don't really share this with anybody. I don't even share it with my closest friends unless they ask. Like occasionally, like me and Beto have shared some stuff back and forth.
Yeah.
Beto's a different
breed.
Don't go look at his page if you don't want to see some death.
Kill bad.
But yeah, love that guy.
Yeah.
But anyways, I just take a different approach with it. So like even I'll go to the level to like to respect the animal. I'll tuck its tongue in. I'll make it look, you know.
Yeah.
And I have a whole like ceremony and personal ritual that I go through, and that's one reason why I don't share it. I think to me personally, it's personal. Yeah.
But that animal is giving its life so you can have life.
Yeah.
And that's.
I think going back to it, beautiful. I think you're just desensitized to death. So I could see why something like this could happen. Like me being in San Francisco, the last 4 times I've been there, every time I've seen a dead body. I never have seen one in Colorado.
Yeah.
Not one time. Like literally I went to Golden Gate. I had one day where I went to Haight-Ashbury because I hadn't been there in like 15 years just to go check it out. Super dope place. And then I just wanted to be outside in nature because I was there for almost 2 weeks or something. And I just wanted to be outside, and we were staying down like in Union Square, which is just, it's right near the Tenderloin. It's not a nice part of town, in my opinion. So I went over to Golden Gate Park, and I don't know if you've ever been there.
Oh, yeah.
But it's basically like Central Park, but even on a larger scale, man. They have waterfalls, and like it's super nice, but ran across a full-on crime scene there, dead body. And I'm like, what this is middle of the day.
Yeah.
Like families are walking their kids because it's all soccer fields. I think one of the NFL teams played there a long time ago. I don't know if it was the 49ers, but I think there was a football stadium in there. Maybe. It's beautiful. I mean, look at this. There's a whole like Japanese garden. It goes all the way from Haight-Ashbury to the Golden Gate Bridge. And literally right outside of this amphitheater, full on dead body with the crime tape and everything. And people are like taking their kids to soccer practice and not even really like batting an eye at it. Like nobody was like stopping and staring. It was like an everyday. I think they're just desensitized to it. And it fucked my day up, dude. I was like, I started thinking about like, that's somebody's daughter or son, or I didn't see what was under the sheet and I didn't want to investigate, but like somebody knows that person, dude.
Oh yeah.
And it made me instantly call my family and like just check in, just like, hey, I just want to let you guys know I love you. Like,
death is a crazy topic. Like it's nuts, but it's also a part of life.
Yeah,
and that's what makes life so beautiful, you know. And like that's why I do what I do. It's just like when you're close to that death, it's sometimes the juxtaposition of being so alive at the moment of complete mortality is where you feel the most alive. And so like that's why I step into the cage, you know, like it for a selfish reason. Like the unselfish reason is to provide for my family. This is what I do. This is my God-given gift. I have an opportunity to go and be bigger than myself. Selfishly, the high of getting that close to your own mortality and being able to overcome that, it's nuts. It's nuts. And man,
I think that's why I'm a bow hunter too.
Yeah.
Like you face, I enjoy the time that I spend in the backcountry more because you are walking into, it's very humbling, right?
Oh yeah.
Especially when you see a mountain lion and you're like 7 miles from anywhere.
When you see a wild animal in
an apex predator, Yes.
I don't. Fuck, it doesn't even have to be an apex predator.
Even
Just
elk, dude, scare the
elk
shit out of
or-
me sometimes.
dude, the scariest thing to me is moose. Like
Yeah.
in Winter Park, because there's moose everywhere. It's like every time I go to Winter Park, for some reason I see a moose,
Bro, I got on a head-on-head with a moose and nowhere to go for either of us.
and those motherfuckers are mean. Like they'll fuck you up. Like those
They do
motherfuckers,
not give a
They look
fuck.
at you and they're like they're the only predatory deer. Like those motherfuckers would just fuck you up for no reason. Like, and
do you
people think
follow
that
Nature's Metal?
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure that
dude.
you
I
do.
see people get
You see-
stomped out by moose all the time. I'm
You
like,
see deer
why
eating
would you-
squirrels and shit.
I'm like, yo, what is going on? Like, moose are crazy. Like
Yeah, they don't fuck around, man.
like everybody looks at the moose and they think that they're like, oh, it's a cute animal. I'm like, that thing's a fucking dinosaur.
Yeah.
like I don't know who the fuck you think you are. That thing's a dinosaur. Like Gertz and I have crazy story with moose. We were in the back country, and Gertz is a fucking maniac, and so obviously we're driving through some crazy stuff that we probably shouldn't have been driving through, and we have a guide, but he's just like, you guys are gangster, and like you guys
Do what you
I'm gonna
want.
take you on some stuff that ain't nobody's been on.
Right.
So we're like, there's one point where I think we're absolutely lost.
Is this in Colorado?
In Colorado, we're in
Okay.
Winter Park in like Granby area.
Dude, these moose here are tiny
Well, this one,
compared to like Alaskan moose.
boy, this one that we came
Yeah.
up on, it was a mom, and she had. So first thing we see is we hear like
Those are
this-
the worst ones.
we hear this like moose coming out of the and if you know everything's sound is dampened in the snow.
Yeah.
So like if you've been if people who've never been in the snow, sound is just like dampened. So when you hear something, like you hear like just crunch, 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 and this little baby moose like walks out in front of us, and so I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So we're like, what's gonna happen now? And then we just see this enormous, this like 7 foot to the like under to the belly, like you're like 7 foot to the top of the back. So
7
like,
foot to the balls.
Yeah, I'm like-
there's no balls on that.
yeah,
female,
but this
you know what
female, and
saying?
I'm like, oh man, this female moose, and we're probably like maybe 50 to 100 feet from this.
I genuinely
from
think that
this
that's
moose.
why people believe in Sasquatch or see Sasquatch sightings, right?
man,
Because
like-
they're black.
Oh my god! And it was quiet until it wasn't, and the guide and all of us. He's like, "Hey, just rev your engine, see if she'll
You
get
guys
out."
on four wheelers?
We were on snowmobiles. So
Oh,
he's like,
shit,
rev
yeah.
your engine to see if like we can get it to move.
Well, they'll get in the snowmobile tracks.
Yeah,
too, right?
she was in the middle of the trail that we had, like we literally had to go across, and so
There's been a lot of attacks that way.
oh my
from
gosh!
moose
And
in
so we
Colorado.
were revving, and then she looked back at us, and like I'm like, I ain't gonna get punked by no fucking deer. It's like that's my mentality, and that's all of our mentality. But it wasn't like you're getting punked or anything. It was like a mutual respect, because I think she like looked into my eyes, I looked into her eyes, and she's like, oh yeah, this motherfucker ain't no one to deal with. And then like I also knew like, man, she ain't no motherfucker to deal with. But and
Yeah.
so like then I was just like, you know what?
It's funny how
I'm just
animals
gonna
can feel that, right?
I'm just gonna like back. So we all ended up backing up. We gave her space. She gave us our space. She didn't attack us, but that stare that she had at us was like, oh, she's cut from the same cloth as us. Like this ain't no punk,
Bro,
And
I
I'm
do.
like, that's
I do it with
nuts.
a bear every year. I hunt. So I hunt some private property, and the bears.
What
are
kind
just
of bear?
A black bear.
Black
This
bears?
bear's like 400 pounds easily. It's a big. It's
The thing
biggest
about black bears, they're like big ass raccoons. Like they're wild, bro. Black bears, people
I mean,
don't understand.
And this motherfucker does not give a fuck. He does not care about anything, man. Like he's so habituated to people. He comes in while we're field dressing a deer, and we'll just sit on his. You know how like a dog
Yeah, just
sometimes will sit like
on-
a pit bull will sit
Yep.
on the side of their ass?
Yep.
That's what he does, just like a lazy sit. And he's like, just waits for us.
Yeah.
But at some point, like one night he followed us and we carried the deer out whole.
Yeah.
I normally just drag it by the antlers, or if it's a doe, I have a little piece of rope that
I just
I
want
put
you
around.
to know, if you want, I can get this anytime I fucking want.
Oh, he could fucking eat me in a heartbeat. And they're so fast and so quiet, man. It's unbelievable.
That's what I'm saying. They're fucking big ass raccoons.
Yeah.
Like they're
That's a big bear right there.
Oh,
yeah. Yeah, they don't fuck around either, man.
yeah. I've only had like one encounter with a black bear, and like I just scared it off because it was actually in Boulder, and
Really?
like I was walking around like close to Pearl Street.
Most of them people mistake them as dogs.
Yeah, and this one was actually he was a big fucking bear, and like I'm like, wait a second, is this a bear in the middle of fucking Pearl Street, Boulder? And I'm like, yeah, that is a bear. so like I'm like,
Damn,
man, this thing is
On
like
Pearl Street. Wow.
desensitized to people, and I'm like, I gotta walk this way, and I like fucking like got big on it, and it
Yeah.
just like ran up the tree and stuff. It was just like getting into trash and shit. But like I'm like, man, they're big raccoons.
Well, they're quiet too, and they climb trees. Like my neighbor,
and you'll see it. And I'm like, this big thing is just up there in the tree. Like, what is it? What are you doing?
we have a resident bear in the neighborhood. I got an awesome photo I got to show you after this. I don't think it's on here, but it's my neighbors have young kids too. So they have like one of those Escalade like power trucks or whatever that you know kids ride around in. They can drive themselves, and they have like a swimming pool in this little playground. And this is in the middle of summer. And there's this bear just laid out in the pool with the Escalade parked out. And it's not a huge bear, but we have them, and it's funny. We've had so many new people move into the neighborhood. I have some neighbors behind me with some young kids, and right, my property borders their property, and it's not big. I'm like acre lots, but it's a big migratory path for deer, for all animals.
Yeah,
because he gets it. He hasn't put up a privacy fence. Yeah, but a lot of these homes that have come in, they all put up fences all the way around their property. But the deer and elk migrate through there, you know? So it's like, kind of a bummer.
They're like, what the fuck is going on?
So ours has become a main thoroughway, but it always has because it's kind of high ground to the neighborhood. But anyways, so I went and knocked on his door, and I was like, hey, there's a bear in your yard. Just so you know, like, don't let the kids, like, go play out back, because we just let our kids go play in the back. And I always make my kids come in at dusk, and I always cut the grass and make sure the bushes are trimmed and shit, because we get mountain lions too.
That's the thing. It's a scarier thing for me is mountain lions, because you have a big cat and you don't even know it's fucking there,
dude. They can crouch down.
They're always watching.
They can crouch down like 18, 20 inches.
Bro, cats are fucking weird, bro. They're just, that's why we think of moths.
Well, think about house cats. I mean, they're fucking run up the walls.
Yeah,
dude. A house cat can fuck you up if they want to.
Oh yeah, dude. Mountain lions are just nuts, man.
Yeah.
And the thing about cats, they're opportunistic. Like bears, they're opportunistic in a different way. Like I said, they're like big raccoons.
Dumpster divers. Yeah.
Like cats, they don't give a fuck. They'll watch you for 3 weeks before they make a move.
Yeah.
And you might not even know they're there. There's some sneaky motherfuckers. Yeah, I don't know if you've ever had a house cat or been around them, but they're sneaky.
Man, I'm allergic to cats, and I'm especially allergic to mountain lions, dude. Fuck those things.
Dude, those things are
they're magnificent. That was my favorite animal as a kid.
I mean, they're beautiful creatures, and
I
actually knew somebody who, man, he was he's actually my first manager, but he was the first. If you remember Furniture Row commercials in Colorado, he took care of all the big cats in there. And the only big cat that he like let his kids around.
Jake Jabs?
No, his name was Ken Alvarez.
No, but wasn't that the guy that was on all the commercials with the tiger?
Yeah, he was on the commercials, but the one who took care of the cats was Ken Alvarez.
It's funny with your kids, you'll have to carry this on. I fuck with my kids when I'm at because we buy all of our furniture from there. Still, it's like the best place to buy it. Yeah. And they always have the trucks with the tiger on it, and I'm like, oh damn, there's the tiger truck.
Yeah,
and they still play those commercials to this day, bro.
It's nuts. It's wild. I'm like
some Siegfried and Roy stuff, bro.
But he took care of all those cats, and I was like,
damn.
I was just asking him about cats. He's like, the one cat that I never was comfortable with was tigers, because like as soon as you turn your back, tiger's on you. Like doesn't matter if you grew up with it, if they're little like cubs, just like tigers.
That's a different level.
He said that mountain lions, he's like, you can domesticate mountain lions. He's like, mountain lions are like, they have the same personality as like house cats, and they will actually tell you when they're like upset, when they're hungry, like stuff like that. And so he's like, my favorite cat to work with is mountain lions. He's like, my least favorite cat was tigers. He's like, tigers are like, you don't know what they're fucking thinking.
Yeah. Mountain lions are crazy. They purr.
Yeah.
I actually had
They play, they purr, they like do all
They play
that
so
house
much
cat.
that one of my neighbors came over to my house hot and heavy, dude. And
Yeah.
he was like, hey, listen, I don't know what your son's been up to. And my son is like a good kid, dude.
Yeah.
Like he's honest to a fault almost, right? And I hope he stays that way. Especially, he didn't get that trait from me. Holy shit, look at that. That's wild. But anyways, he came over and he's like, hey, has your son been stealing? And this is one of these people that put up a privacy fence all the way around their property. It's 10 feet tall.
I mean,
can't
cat
see
would
in,
jump
can't
over
see
that
out,
shit.
right? So he's like, somebody's been stealing my kids' toys.
Yeah.
Like balls, like whatever,
Yeah.
stuffed animals, shit that they leave in the yard, right? Like yard toys. And I was like, dude, it's not my son. I suggest you get like a trail cam or something. There's probably some teenagers in the neighborhood or something is what I told him. But it's not my kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, we don't really have bad kids in the neighborhood. So I don't know what,
Yeah.
I don't know what the hell. I don't know what to tell you. It was a mountain lion, bro. They got it on camera. It was stealing like little basketballs and shit,
just
from the
playing,
little Fisher Price hoop. And like, it was taking them somewhere, probably back to its lair.
It's a lair under old Jim's porch. Yeah. And old Jim has no idea that there's a freaking
that's crazy.
400-pound cat just freaking laying there waiting.
They are so stealth. So from we've had Colorado Parks and Wildlife in here before, and they've told us some like facts, on like what the agility I asked
I don't
one
know
time.
if I want to even hear these facts.
Dude, from a standing position, they can jump 17 feet.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. Why are you telling me this? Did they tell you how many mountain lions are currently around you in this area?
Oh, it's a ton. It's a ton.
It's nuts, man. No, mountain lions are crazy.
Like, what is a cheetah runs like 72 miles an hour or something? I think a mountain lion runs like 65 or can run 65. I mean, or maybe just Google how fast a mountain lion is.
Have you seen that video of the mountain lion jumping from tree to tree after like some hunting dogs are like?
I've seen it in person.
I'm like, this mountain lion literally
not that
jumps
specific
like
video,
40 feet from one tree like to the next tree. I'm like, yo.
Even though that I'm not a mountain lion hunter specifically, I've been on some cat hunts. I have some friends of mine that are houndsmen.
Yeah, but your hound, those hounds are gangster though. They treat
so
these mountain
badass,
lions
so badass. Dude, there's this badass documentary that's dropping this week.
Yeah.
I think it's called Lionheart. And it's the guys from Blood Origin made it. And it's all just on houndsmen for mountain lions. But they took like a different approach with it. It's not like a hunting film. Look up Lionheart by Blood Origins. Not the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie. That's a badass era, bro. Yeah, right here. Go up. It's the top one. Nope. Oh, yeah, I guess that was it. But play the trailer that's at the top.
Yeah.
Shout out to Blood Origins, man. They're doing some nice work. And then
Ads.
we got the
we might get some monetization fucking if we play the sound. Maybe we'll just cut this part of the pod. What's the time code?
We're like
Okay. Give me some volume.
How do I do that on?
Oh, you know what? It's on the TV remote right there.
Yeah, speaking of hounds, dude, I got a new puppy. And you kind of saw her in our Instagram post. She's a gangster. So on her gender reveal, she was like the dog that revealed the gender because she ate her cake and then she took my big dog's cake. She was eating everybody's cake. She's a fucking gangster. But her name's Cleo.
Okay.
And we got her
This is the Doberman Pinscher. You got a couple, don't you?
Yeah, so I have 2 Dobermans. So the older one is Tino.
Don't worry about it.
Okay.
And the younger one is Cleo. And like that's my girl. Like that's Cleo, like she's attached at the hip. Like that's my
dog.
girl. And
I
like
love my dog.
she just does everything. And like, but I wanted to make her a protection dog. She's a service animal already. She qualified as a service animal, but she went through protection school through Mock Canine. Shout out Mock Canine here in Colorado. They do all the canines for like the military and police, and they like help the canines like go through their tests in school and everything. Anyways, long story short, she failed her test because she was too nice. But I
guess that's a good thing with the Doberman.
But she still loves to like bite shit. And now she's going through heat. And so like they're like, you might retest her when she's going through heat. Now all she wants to do is fucking punch this pillow. Like I have like this pillow that I've been messing with her and like trying to train her with, and so like if you come into our house, like we wanted to train her to do like bark and holds. So what that means is like she'll like light you up with like some crazy sounding barks, and then if I tell her to Foss, like that she's all German commands, she's gonna grab your pant leg and she's gonna hold you there until like I say like let go. And for her, that's just a game. We're playing a game. That's fun. What I wanted her to do is I wanted her, like when I say Foss, just like you're biting the fuck out of anybody that I tell her until I get you off of it.
Yeah.
And like she's just too nice. So now she'll like hold your pant leg and like go around, but like what I wanted her to do is just like get in there and get after it. But for these dogs, you have to be like gangster with them. Like
you got to be with them like pretty much all the time.
Oh,
right?
which I am, but like she just is like she's a lover. Like she's just too nice. Like she's like it's like 1 in 3 dogs from like a bred line for like killer dogs is gonna be or 3 out of 10 dogs in a killer line that's bred to be protection dogs will end up being protection dogs. Right. So it's just their like personality. She's just like
it's crazy. I have a friend of mine that's in this similar business. He does a lot of like sheriff's dogs and stuff like that. I think he does some military stuff too. I don't know. We haven't really talked about it. I know that he's former military and was a dog handler. And at a high level too. But anyways, he goes all over the world. To get Malinois and stuff because he's like there's certain, and then he's got a bunch of dogs that don't make the cut.
Or that's a lot of money too. Like
they're like pro athletes. If they get injured, like some of them might get a hip injury because those dogs will run up a fucking wall and shit, dude.
And that's the same. Like my dog will like right now she's gangster. Like she'll go like I'll have her like I could send her and she'll go like across a ladder. Like I can send her and she'll like come across like a fence or like the bleachers and stuff.
I've never really been around Dobermans, and I know like they're just depicted as like this devilish, like aggressive breed. But are they like loyal to their owner?
So they call them Velcro dogs. Okay. So they're like really, really loyal to their owner, but they're also like butterfly dogs too. So like that's why they eventually ended up getting decommissioned off of police work, is because like they were the dogs that tax
like. What do you mean butterfly? Like ADHD? Like
so like they'll be like, oh, I'm gonna fucking like I'm gonna bite this person, and then they'll literally see a butterfly and they'll be like, oh, butterfly. Like I'm not joking. Like they're most gangster, and like like my dog Cleo, like she's gangster, but she'll see a butterfly and like an actual butterfly, and she'll be like, oh, I don't want to bite anymore. Like, I want to play with the butterfly. Like, that's the type of dogs that they are, but they're also Velcro dogs. So, like, they are super affectionate. They want one handler. They want one, like, sole, like, like, person that they talk to or whatever. But, I mean,
Are they super intelligent? Like,
they're too smart.
Yeah.
Like, that's why it's, like, Malinois are, like, really smart and stuff, but, like, you can really condition them into, like, not being, like, Dobermans are like introspective, and then they have like a lot of personality, and they're like they want, like, she's in heat right now and she can be gangster, but then now she just only wants to be right up under my armpit or like right next to me. It's a pretty crazy thing, but
Yeah, we have I grew up with blue healers.
Oh yeah,
I don't know how
blue
much you
healers
know
are
about
like
them, but
they're great hunting dogs.
Fucking
Great
loves.
hunters.
They're just awesome, man.
And they just like they used to get on a trail and they'll just root them out. And,
Yeah, well, I was getting her trained a little bit through Complete Canine. Shout out to those guys to do some tracking because that's what I wanted to use her for. It was not as like a lion dog, but like if more like search and rescue effort.
Yeah.
So like if one of my kids went missing or like something like that. And she's just super fucking smart, dude. I swear to God, she knows probably 1,000 words that I say.
Yeah.
And like when I come home from the road, like now that my kids are getting a little bit older, it's my youngest 6-year-old that's the most excited to see me out of the family, but my dog is like 10 times.
Yeah.
Like backflips and fucking peeing everywhere.
Yeah.
Dude. She fucking is like, gets so excited.
How amazing
I can't
is that
even pet her
feeling?
in the house because
Like-
she'll like spray and flip and like.
That's how my Adobe is. She loves her mom.
It's
but, like,
unconditional love,
That's
man.
that's my girl, you
Yeah.
know. And my big boy too. He's the mama's boy though. I definitely imprinted on him, but he's definitely a mama's boy.
Hell yeah.
But my girl is like,
Dude, you're going to have an awesome family with the
Moms,
dogs and the
yeah.
kids. And
heck
I'm
yeah.
excited for you, bro.
You know, I'm so excited, dude. This has been awesome, and I know we're probably coming up on time.
We are coming up on time, but dude, let's just have you back, man. You
Yeah.
want to come back once a week or what?
Dude, I'm down.
We got so much shit we
Well, I
can
got
talk
some
about.
time, yeah. Dude, I really want to see
We
this
can go a
mountain
few
lion
more
video
minutes though if you have time because I want to know what you got coming up. I know you're just coming off of a fight.
Yeah.
And I just kind of want to know what you got going on. You got a ton of other shit going on outside of the fight game a little bit too. You know, like you got your website, you got this badass clothing line. You know, like your Grand Neal shirt. I gotta buy one, dude. I can't believe I haven't gotten one. I love that shirt. Are they still available?
Yeah. So those ones are still available. I want to
Tyler, give me a 3X right now or 2X. Sorry.
So
2X.
I really want to get the brown one going. So the brown shirt going. So right now we only have it in like the black, but we have like
those
a
are
bunch
dope.
of, like,
Did you make
hoodies and
those?
everything. So actually, I had one of my buddies make the graphic, and it was really dope how that graphic came together. But we have a bunch of different merchandise. So I have like the No Lies T-shirt and No Lies hoodies, and then the Grant the Truth Neal with a bunch of the truth on there. So there's a bunch of stuff that you can print on the different shirts and all that type of stuff. But that's the newest graphic. I do.
This is on Millions. There's
Yeah.
quite a few fighters I've had in
so
that's doing-
Millions, they do a good job with just like getting things out and printed. But there's gonna be some
Millions for everybody, or is it fight specific?
It's for everybody.
Okay,
but they really have done a really good job of catty cornering like the fight community. I think I'm actually gonna drop some more merchandise just that I like. So like similar to like the shirt that I'm wearing right now is like
that's a dope shirt by the way too.
Graphic tee, but like I like the thicker material. So Millions doesn't do like that like.
Yeah, I was
thicker,
wondering what
like,
the quality
like
is. That
graphic.
vintage though?
Yeah,
That
it's like
looks
a vintage. It's a vintage tee. So like I want to drop like that same type of logo on a vintage tee, and
that'd be dope.
And that's like that's the next innovation for that. So look for that. I'm probably gonna do that right before my San Diego fight in September. So I'm gonna fight in San Diego September 7th, 185, and I'm gonna drop like a really dope T-shirt. So I'm gonna hold you off on this one, unless you want to buy this one and the next
both,
one.
Dude,
But,
I'll
like,
get both.
It's awesome. So the No Lies one
like
is
the
just
No Lies ones too.
So the No Lies one just
I
has.
should wear those in here while I'm podcasting because I've had some motherfuckers lie to me in here.
And then the back is just the truth.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's,
dope, dude.
So like
Yeah,
that's my
those
nickname.
are awesome,
so like the
man.
No Lies is kind of cool, and a lot of people like that. I would size up one because they run a little bit smaller, but yeah, definitely size up one. But those
all the way to 5X, I'm good.
Yeah. No, we take care of everybody. They know who I cater to, and then no, but it's real cool. What
that's
they
a
kinda
dope
do.
one
Yep.
too. Is
Yeah,
that you on that?
Yeah, that's me in the background.
And is it a 7?
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh yeah.
Why the 7? Was that a football number? or-
So 7 is just like it's a biblical number. It's perfect. Next.
Okay.
And
Tell me
so,
about that if we got time.
so-
Is that too long of a story?
It's a pretty long story.
Okay.
I think we got to save something for next time. But no, like 7 is a really powerful number, and it just is like embodies like the truth and all that kind
Really?
of stuff. So yeah,
Okay.
so
That's dope.
and you know that's why they always say lucky number 7, right?
Yeah.
So it's
I've bet on it a few times.
Oh
It's
yeah,
done me right.
yeah.
I actually have a friend of mine that wanted to name their child 7.
Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of, just spitball me some good child names
For a boy?
For a boy. Like, what's at the top of your mind? You have 3 seconds. 3, 2, 1. First name.
Grant.
I can't name a Grant Jr. Come on now. Give me another one. Just off the top.
God damn, man. I guess I'm more of I stick to family traditions. So like we've done that with my daughters. Just to give you a little bit different perspective. So my wife got to pick the middle name on my 2 daughters. Like we picked the name together that was different.
Yeah.
But with the middle name, we picked the family member.
Okay.
And normally that family member had passed, right?
Yeah.
So my son's name is Tyler James Marshall. And that lineage goes deep. That name James has been in my family for forever.
So that's
crazy.
kind of how my middle name. I'm named after my great grandfather. My middle name's Taylor, and so we talked about
Taylor's
that.
a dope
Yeah,
name.
we talked about that story with Taylor. So Taylor is that's my
that's
middle
why we
name.
picked Tyler. And Tyler doesn't run in the family. I wanted him to have something different than Bobby.
Yeah.
Like, because me and my grandfather
John
share
Tyler
the same
was
name.
A president too. It's a president name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that, or I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. My family supposedly is heir, and I guess you can somebody's traced the lineage back to James Marshall. He was the real 49er that discovered gold at Sutter's Mill.
That's crazy.
Which is wild. And he lost it all. Apparently, the family story goes that he lost it all on booze and hookers. So kind of makes sense. He might have been women and booze. Yeah.
So we're. I think our middle name. We're thinking Harold.
Okay.
Because he has a.
He's
probably
that was your grandfather's.
No, so Harold is
Okay.
the knife maker. So it was.
Right.
If you look at on Instagram, it's the maker of blades. Is the Instagram, but I mean, you really respect craftsmanship. So like, if you look at
God, I would have loved to meet him, man.
Oh,
like,
man.
I'm gonna dig a little bit more into his. Is there anybody documenting his stuff, or like
not
is
documented,
anybody carrying
but,
it on?
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, his son, Taryn, and myself, and we really want to. He had some blades that he was working on before he got sick, and we really want to finish all of his projects. And so that's
badass.
like our goal. And so, Iron Horse Forgery, I believe, is the name. So, the owner, he was on Forged in Fire. He's on Forged in Fire with his daughter as well. He's a Forged in Fire champion. And Harold would go down with him and work on blades, and Harold was his apprentice. And
Okay.
so,
Is that the shop that he worked out of, or did he have his own?
Iron Horse, and he had his own at the house as well. So he did both, but he did all like the big forges and everything there. And
Have you thought about?
And you
I'm
saw
sure
my
his family
Kopesh and
is-
everything.
Yeah.
So
And I don't mean to even bring it to this, but like blacksmith equipment is really hard to come by, and like I have an anvil that's been in my family for like hundreds of years.
oh yeah,
like
I have an anvil too from my grandfather.
that's super dope. I'm just saying, don't let them just like sell off.
They're
yeah,
not, they're not.
okay. I didn't think so, but I just wanted to.
But like if you look at some of these knives,
God, that's
it's just, like,
badass.
it's
Dude,
unbelievable.
You know some. I mean, you know Beto.
Yeah,
and he's
Beto
got some
is-
serious connections.
And so Beto was talking to me before Harold passed. He's like, Beto follows the page maker play.
Of course he does.
Beto's like, dude,
he's a
this
realist.
guy is unbelievable. And like Beto is just like, dude, I really want to.
God, those
talk to
almost
him.
look like pistol grips. It's
Oh, yeah.
kind of cool, man.
Oh yeah.
The grips are really cool.
Yeah.
And so like we're And so he was, and he's just an artist. Like his work is just like amazing. Like the leather work, everything is from just his mind. And
super cool.
So we really want to do our best to finish the work that he's done. And so I know his son, myself, he had an impact on our whole community. So we all are like our goal is to like finish that work that he started, you know. And
that's badass, man.
But yeah, Harold is.
Well, definitely keep me posted on that. And
oh yeah,
I actually know somebody I could put you in touch with if you guys need any help. And he's kind of a super awesome human, another veteran from, you know, the special operations community. Great dude. He did some security for Blink 182, but I don't know. You might follow him. Shout out to Lucas O'Hare. We've had him on the podcast.
Oh yeah, I know. I've
Grizzly
heard,
Forge.
Yeah.
Yep. And he's been doing some amazing stuff lately too. So if you guys need a little pointer or tip here or there or something, I'm sure he'd be willing to. He's a rad human.
Yeah. Heck yeah. Yeah. No, I love all of his work, and yeah, he was the greatest mentor, greatest friend. Man, he brought all of us together and really built a community that had the same values. Like, you know, it's
much more than just a blade, right?
Yeah.
There's some meaning behind it.
Oh yeah. And so yeah, we really want to finish a lot of his work.
That is badass, man.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
So cool.
He's just such a visionary.
Damn, here's to Harold, dude.
Yeah, cheers to Harold.
Cheers.
So my son is.
I watched him play as a kid, man.
Yeah,
like
yeah, he was a stud, man.
Those guys were my superheroes.
His first sack was Joe Montana.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy. And he played in a Super Bowl against Montana.
Yep,
a couple times,
he won.
right?
He won the Super Bowl with. He's like actually one of the only players to win a Super Bowl and a Grey Cup.
Really?
Yeah. So he won with Calgary, and then he also won with the Broncos.
That's badass, cool. Dude.
Cool.
Super awesome. Mm-hmm. Well, shit, man. Let's wrap it up on that note, dude. This has been super fun, man. It feels like it's not long enough. Like every time you're in here, I think your first one was like
we had 3 hours.
Three plus hours or some shit. Yeah. But dude, we'll just have you back, and if you want to bring somebody with you next time, dude, let's do it. Or just you and me is fine too. We got plenty to talk about. Like,
we should get Chris or Gertz in one of them.
Let's do it.
It'd be so funny.
Let's do it soon.
I like making Gertz do stuff.
Let's not
like
wait
that.
so long. It's been a year, man. Like, you guys let me know when your time's convenient. Definitely. We're starting to get to the point where we might be putting out more than one a week because I'm a little bit backlogged on space and just.
I saw your one with Yusuf and one with Whitney. That's really cool.
No, it's cool, man. I got a whole list of people that I got to get in here.
You got to get Jonas in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jonas is the man.
I'm ready, dude.
I'll connect you after.
Tell him, there's a few guys I've been talking to, and Jonas is high on the list, dude. Yeah. He's on the short list, so anytime he's available. And that's one thing too, man. It's hard, you know. People have lives and schedules, and like to come up here is a half a day by the time we hang out.
But it's a great drive. It's beautiful.
People seem to have fun in
here too. There's food around
man.
Town.
Yeah, hell
that's how you get athletes. You be like,
where did we go last time? Was it Black Hat? Did we take you to Black Hat?
Was it the steakhouse right here? Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, that place is pretty dope, huh?
It was really.
It's not too bad. Yeah. All right, Grant, man. I love you, brother. Let's hang out outside of here as well, but you're welcome back anytime, and we'll get you back sooner than a year.
Yeah.
I love you, brother. Thank you, homie.
Much love.
All right.
Much love.
Thanks for listening to the Mountainside Podcast. If you haven't had a chance to do this already, please take a moment, follow, like, subscribe, or rate on whatever platform you catch the Mountainside Podcast at. If you'd like some more information on upcoming episodes, safety tips, access to all of our affiliates, and all the badass discounts that we get here at the Mountainside Podcast, check out themountainsidepodcast.com.